FSM News on the skyline glow. Cut the static, let the truth winds blow. Facts don't matter in the fire and the fray. We roll the reel, then fade away. Flash the headline, stitch the night. Truth in the frame, wrongs in the light. If FSM News keeps calling it back, one last shot, and that's a wrap. Facts don't matter even when they shout. We close the scene, no fear, no doubt. FSM News stamped on the final clap. Curtains fall, yeah, that's a wrap.
Good evening, everybody. It's the 25th of July already. That's like freaking crazy. Where the hell did the summer go? So I've only got 1 month of bad sledding left, apparently. Anyway, thank you for being here, friends. I appreciate you. Got many choices to make, especially on a Saturday night, so we're really grateful that you choose to spend some time with us, so thank you. You know the drill. Tapping is clapping, and liking is loving, and sharing is caring. As I've learned more and more about how the gifting works at TikTok, it just requires activity. What the algorithm likes to see is that you're engaged in the live. What the algorithm likes to see is that if you enjoy the host, the content, the show, whatever that might be, that you participate by gifting. We'll really appreciate that. So you can find the gifts in our right up here. And also, you can check out the gallery items as well. We don't pick the gallery items. They're chosen for us. But again, another way to support the channel. Also, we are crowdfunding for the Do Something Tour. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all at Facts Still Matter. And we have another contest that will start up again on Monday morning. Actually, we will award the winner of our contest from last week, Monday morning at 10 o'clock. So come on back to our daily show. If you're just finding us here, I'm Fax, Steve. We go live every Monday through Friday, 8 until noon Eastern time, and then every night at 9. And then we call it That's a Wrap, just kind of capture the day's headlines. And then once we're done with that, on Saturday night, on Thursday night, and on Tuesday night, we will convert to debate night. So tonight, going to go a little longer, which is great. Learn that, longer is fine, but thicker content is better. That's what I've been told, at least. So, anywho, here we are. Thank you for being here, friends. You can go to the link tree that's in my bio to find more information, including a link to the Discord. We just ask that you go through the verification steps if you're going to join the Discord. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. Also, you can find the link to the merch store, Facts HQ or factsstillmatter.site. A couple of new merch items coming your way soon. Stay tuned for those. Thank you for being here, friends. I appreciate you. So, the talk of the town was the correspondence dinner last night. Now, I've been vacillating, like literally up until this moment, as to whether or not I wanted to play some content, clips from the president. I think it's necessary because we do cover the news here, and it is a newsworthy item. So this is a compilation of a bunch of things that the president said last night. Some of them landed like a lead balloon. Is that the expression? Some people laughed because they're in a fucking cult. Here you go. Buckle up, friends.
It's been an easy evening, all these awards. Just like my presidency, the second time is always better. It's always better. And the third time will be better yet. But after hearing the gunshots, many people yelled, "Get down, get down," which caused Nicki Minaj to start twerking. Do you believe it? Get down.
Do we even think the president knows what twerking is? Do we think he has any idea what it is? Okay.
She's the only one that really understood what that meant. I hope that everyone finally got to enjoy their entire very delicious beef tenderloins, very special beef. And I want you all to know that Bobby Kennedy, who's right here, personally ran over the cow in his car. And he cut it up and he brought it here for you to eat tonight. So it's very fresh. Just remember, before I came along, if you wanted to see someone lose consciousness on the south lawn of the White House, all you had to do is ask Joe Biden a question. Remember that. What about Bruce Springsteen? What the hell happened to that guy? At a recent concert, Bruce, all he did was talk politics. He ought to run for office. That'd be interesting. But all he talked about, he made 4 political speeches in his 3-hour show. The tour has been renamed Bored in the USA. I do think we need term limits in Congress. I think term limits are very important because I see what's happening. The other day, a senator...
This particular part, with everything that's swirling around him, from the fact, the twice impeached, four-time indicted, sexually abusing fraudster, convicted felon, name on a list, predator, racist, pedophile, pussy-ass bitch. We added that the other day. He chose to go here.
I knew, got a text, a great guy, from his wife. And she said, when you get home, I want to have you immediately come up the stairs and make love to me. And he said, I can't do both. You know what? In other words, can't go up the stairs and make love. Does anybody get that? Well, I thought that was actually pretty good. That was actually the only thing I thought was good in this whole freaking stupid speech that they wrote. It's been an interesting evening. I didn't really know what to expect. And it's far worse than I actually thought. But if you want to know that.
At one point, he put on the Trump 2028 hat. In fact, earlier today, I was in a live. I'll go to those spaces. So you don't have to. You're welcome. And by the way, there's an entire MAGA hunting group. So thank all of them. They know who they are. There's many of them in here this evening. It's a bit of a it's a bit self-indulgent. Sure, no doubt about that. But I was in a conversation with someone who genuinely believed that we can just. His argument was behind him had a background that said Trump 2028. So I was intrigued. So I requested. And his argument was, do we live in a representative democracy? And I'm like, yes, we do. So he's like, so if it's the will of the people, he can be the president again. And I'm like, no, that doesn't work. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Kristen. Yeah. And I'm like, no, that doesn't work. And there were literally people on the panel that were saying, well, it's sure, but he can still run. And I'm thinking to myself, do we have any hope for the future with people who just don't seem to give a fuck about the Constitution? So we went back and forth on this conversation, and I was still just gobsmacked. My gob was smacked for sure. And I'm trying to say, listen, no, that's a we can change the Constitution. Yeah, we can. It's called an amendment. The amendment addresses something like, we changed the laws because initially women didn't have the right to vote. So we had the 19th Amendment, for example. We have amendments that protect search and seizure and freedom of speech and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But these people were genuinely convinced that the will of the people. And I said, how would that work structurally? And no one could answer. So I offered this. I said, so basically, if 50 million people decided to write in Donald Trump's name, then he would be the president if he got enough vote. And they're like, exactly. And I'm like, nope, that's not how that works either. Requires 2/3 of Congress and 38 states. That's how you would change the Constitution. But they didn't want to hear that because they want Trump to run for what he's talking about now as a fourth term, apparently. Okay. A couple more little highlights from that, or lowlights from that event last night. This was a question asked by Peter Ducey from Fox.
People have no idea how lucky you are. When I'm gone, you're all going to be broke. Your business model is going to be finished. No, it's true. When I'm not around, you're going to be broke. There's not going to be anybody to report on. Nobody gives a damn about anybody else.
Okay. And then one more. Because that's enough.
To show just how much I care about the press. And I want to save your ratings. I'm pleased to announce my intention to, and this is somewhat of a scoop, my intention to run for a fourth term as president of the United States. I will be doing that. I will be having an official. In fact, I think I have. Yeah. I won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it again.
TikTok, this is educational purposes only. This is not me making claims about erections. This is the president himself making claims about erections. Just want to let you know that, okay?
Thank you. I'm going to do it. Should be easy. I'm getting very good at running for president. No, I won 3 times, did very well the second time, by the way. It's a rigged election, but we don't have to talk about it. When I'm gone, you're all going to be broke. Your business model is going to be finished. No, it's true. When I'm not around, you're going to be broke. There's not going to be anybody to report on. Nobody gives a damn about anybody else.
First of all, to every single person who clapped for that, fuck you. You
Exactly. Yeah. Well, first of all, just a little. So that was the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and you'll recall. And I thought about this today when I was prepping for this content. Whatever happened to the story of the gentleman who allegedly? Remember, whenever you hear the word allegedly, going forward, friends, okay, an allegation is irrelevant in our justice system today because the number one law enforcement officer in our country, who would be the Attorney General, and that if that were to be Todd Blanche, if he was confirmed, has already told us that we don't investigate allegations. Okay, so then you are guilty. Apparently, you are guilty until proven innocent in our country now. So the person who allegedly shot at the president or was allegedly, involved in a potential assassination attempt against the president back during the first Correspondents' Dinner, allegedly, whatever happened to that story? Kind of disappeared, right? Like we haven't heard much more about Butler, PA, that I think was staged. Haven't heard much more about that either, have we? Weird how that works. Anyway, so just a quick history of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The dinner raises money for journalism scholarships, honors outstanding reporting with journalism awards, and celebrates the role of a free press under the First Amendment. The White House reporters, editors, media executives, government officials, members of Congress, diplomats, celebrities, and often the president and senior administration officials attend. The president typically delivers a humorous speech. Barack Obama, for sure. That pokes fun at themselves, political opponents, and the press. A comedian or entertainer often follows with their own satirical remarks. This lighthearted roasting has become a hallmark of the event. The dinner began in 1921, and for much of its history, presidents from both major parties attended, though not all have. For example, Ronald Reagan attended despite recovering from an assassination attempt in 1991. He addressed the audience by phone. Barack was known for his witty speeches at the event, including the famous mic drop. That was great. And then Trump, of course, skipped the dinner throughout his first presidency because he's a PBA, but returned to attend the rescheduled dinner this year. The dinner has long sparked debate because it brings together journalists and the politicians they cover in a social setting. Critics argue this is from the Washington Post. Critics argue that this can create the appearance of being too cozy with those in power. Others defend it as a ceremonial event that celebrates journalism, raises scholarship funds, and acknowledges the importance of an independent press.
Fall up from our boots.
There's one moment. I don't know if I played this one. Do I have that one still? Hang on a second. Where Wolf Blitzer, who was the host, he was giving the award to the Wall Street Journal for some of their landmark reporting, specifically as it relates to the Epstein files. He's like standing there in front of Trump, giving the Wall Street Journal this award, and the look on Trump's face is just PAB. PAB, pussy ass bitch is what we're calling him. So anyway, that was quite a night. Okay, a couple of things that I wanted to share with you guys. Katy Perry. I'm not a huge fan of her music, but she went out on Twitter yesterday and said in a post that I am deeply appalled and angry to see Firework, one of her songs, used on a White House TikTok account as backing track for video footage of military strikes. I did not approve this. I was not asked, and I absolutely do not condone it. I wrote this song to be an anthem of hope, healing, and inner strength for people going through their darkest personal moments. To see a message of self-worth and upliftment weaponized as soundtrack destruction and violence is a complete violation of everything my song stands for. My music is for bringing people together, not celebrating warfare. Interesting that he chose to do that. He's done this numerous times, like numerous times. There's been examples of him using artists' music and or whatever without their permission. So the question is she going to sue? And hope she does. We'll see. All right. Couple other things here. This is an interesting story. We're going to talk about communism, et cetera, because I've got for the background for our debate night. Well, I'll just show you now. I teased you enough. I would imagine that this will get a little bit of attention this evening because I hear it at every turn, right? At every single turn, we hear the obsession with conservatives regarding communism, socialism, Marxism. They don't know how to describe it, but they are so terrified, and they don't even know why they're afraid. They don't even know why they're afraid of it. They have no clue. So Laura Ingraham is attempting to go after AOC. And this is about as good
He is an attractive
Hold on.
millennial.
This is about as
But the
kind
fact is,
as she can
AOC
be.
is an attractive millennial with a powerful surface appeal. With her long, sleek raven hair and red lipstick, she's at times played dual roles. Kind of the earnest activist, both up from her bootstraps, who wants to stick it to the man. And then at times, she's kind of played the girly girl who shares her favorite recipe on TikTok.
Okay. So AOC's a threat. Zoram's a threat. And by the way, I've been doing a little bit of research. I want to share this now, and I'll get into it probably on our show on Monday. One of the qualifications to run for the presidency is you have to be 35 years of age, right? And you have to have lived in the United States consecutively, I think it's for 15 years or more. And then there's another element to that. Do you know what that is, friends? You guys are the smartest chat on TikTok. Do you know what that is? I used to always think it meant, well, I'll just say it. It says natural born citizen. Now, we know that this president has manipulated and or used semantic arguments as to what this particular item in the Constitution means. He was naturally born, was he not? All I'm saying is if we've learned anything from these last 10 years, we've learned that everything is sort of, apparently the Constitution has got some flexibility to it. I would like to see Zohran Mamdani test it. I'd like to see anybody test it because he's naturally born. There's no denying that he was born, right? So I'm going to do a little bit of research on that and come back on our show for Monday. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Anyway, going after AOC. Okay, that's totally fine. And then there's another gentleman, by the way, his name is Jay Feely. Jay Feely was a kicker. He kicked for the Arizona Cardinals. He was a place kicker for the Arizona Cardinals. Big Trump fan. I'm going to play, this is like 3.5 minutes. I'm just going to play some of this for you because this is a gentleman who's endorsed by President Trump. And we're going to talk about what he had to say here because it's, first of all, disgusting, and we'll get to that. And then I've got another story to follow up on it. But how everybody now that's running to be a Republican nominee, they're all using the same script. The last election cycle, it was close the border. The last election cycle, it was about no men and women's sports, even though there are no men and women's sports. So now, though, it's the big bad commies. So this is a little bit about Jay Feely. You'll get a sense because it's the same old script as to who this guy is and what he kind of stands for. So here you go.
They're going to Amish Shaw tonight.
NFL kick.
There we go. They have been coming out, volunteering, helping us. In July alone, we knocked on 8,000 doors and we made 80,000 calls. It's because of all these people here. So thank you guys so much because it's certainly not just me in any way. It is a community, and it is people that care about their country, that care about their state. I also have to thank President Trump.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
He and I have been friends for nearly 2 decades.
Of course.
Yeah, he's coming up next.
Of course.
No, he already did come out. I went to the wrong platform when he was out here last time. I got the right one this time. But I just want to thank him for his support, his friendship, his endorsement.
Great.
We know how important that is, and we know how important it is to stand up.
Now it's almost like it's immediately disqualifying. Obviously not for people in his circle, but that's how you want to start your campaign. I mean, that is a strategic and a tactical decision to make, that you immediately want to jump on board the fact that you've been endorsed by the president and that you've been friends for 2 decades. That's risky because you need independence in Arizona. By the way, he got nominated for I think it's Congressional District 1. He won his primary. So he is, I think it's Congressional District 1 in Arizona. Somebody can fact check me on that, or if we have somebody who lives in his district out there. But you need independence. There's not enough of your core voters hey, John, there's not enough of your core voters to get you across the finish line, so you need independents. And we know that independents despise Trump. He is like 40 points upside down when it comes to independent support. So it's a bold move to be able to lean all in on the endorsement from the president, months before the big day.
For him and the policies that he's trying to impact our country with. Speaker Johnson was awesome to me as well, to support me, to send me verses. It's amazing to see your leaders in this country.
Since he brought up Mike Johnson, we were just discussing, I'm going to do a little side project off of the Do Something tour. The Bitch Boys of America. We're going to flag them all down. Going to put that T-shirt in the merch store.
When they have a real faith and they walk it, and he certainly does. The support of the NRCC, Chairman Hudson, was awesome to me. Tom Emmer has been a friend for a number of years prior. He actually went to high school with my dad and his brothers way in Minnesota. But his support has been tremendous as well. And Richard Hudson with NRCC, everybody, they've had so much support for us in this campaign. And I wouldn't be here without all of them. But why did I decide to run for office? It is a desire to leave this country better for our children and our grandchildren. That's it in its core. What we're doing is fighting for the future of this country. I truly believe that. When you look at the two parties, they've never been further apart ideologically.
Wait
never.
for it. Wait for it.
And the Democrat Party has embraced Democrat socialism.
Yes.
They have chosen to move further to the left.
Yes.
They are talking about abolishing the border. They're
No.
talking about abolishing the police department.
No.
They're talking about abolishing the Senate now. They
No.
want to give D.C. and Puerto Rico statehood.
Yes.
The things that they're talking about are changing the very foundation of this country and what has made it great for 250 years.
Anybody have an issue with any of that? I mean, the foundation of our country that's made us great for 250 years, as millions of Americans can't afford health care, as tens of millions of American families are living in food insecure, how we have the carceral state, a pay-for-profit prison industry. It's not popular, right? It's the definition of insanity, and we're living it in the body politic. It's the same old thing over and over and over and over again. The only westernized nation that doesn't have a single payer or Medicare for all model. The only country that people can go into debt, go bankrupt because of a medical bill. The only westernized nation that kids are food insecure. They don't guarantee fucking food for children. And this guy wants you to believe that all is good and that these people are the threat. So if you are anti-democratic socialism, if you're in the chat and you are an independent, you could be a moderate, you could be a conservative, you could be a libertarian, and you just don't think, because I firmly believe that democratic socialism can save America, without question. And I'd love to talk to you tonight, so please request up. So that was Jay Feely. But this is where it gets really
And an easy
This
evening.
is where it gets really interesting, because he had a little bit more to say on his beliefs about America and what we should be doing.
Talk about our love for this country and where we want it to go. The modern Democrat Party, they talk about disdain for this country. They talk about the past and all the ills and all the things that we did wrong. And they don't focus on the opportunities that exist. And what's so great, you go to college campuses and you listen to professors, and the ideology, as I listen and I watch my kids go to college and listen to the ideology that's presented, and they talk about how bad this country is. And they continually talk about slavery and the things that happened in the past, instead of talking about the greatness of this country and where we can go. This campaign is going to be about bringing people together.
So let me get this straight, Jay. Jay, who was a mediocre kicker at your best. Let me get this straight. So you think we're going to be able to bring people together by not talking about the past? That thing, slavery, that's in the past. That's years ago. We shouldn't be talking about slavery. Should we? Well, here's the funny thing, friends. Here's the funny thing about that. If it wasn't so bad as we know it was, then why, pray tell, did the Trump administration request that the Smithsonian Museum issue warnings that say inaccurate history? Trump orders signs at the Smithsonian Museum warning of inaccurate history. President Trump ordered signs outside the National Museum of American History warning visitors that American historical accounts inside aren't accurate in his telling. Visitors walking into the Smithsonian, I'm going to pause there. I hope, friends, if you've not had a chance to go to D.C. and you've not been to the museums, they surround the mall. It's an amazing experience. They're free. And by the way, the African American Museum has the best food of all. I've been to all of them. They're amazing. I really would encourage you, if there's any way for you to do it, if there's any way for you to go, please go, because we have no idea what's going to happen in the future. So please, please, please go. The Smithsonian in particular, please go, okay? Visitors walking into the Smithsonian Museum in D.C. could see temporary signage or exhibits alerting them of the contents inside the space, according to a July 24th executive order, which directs the Interior Department to place the warnings. The order comes after the White House released a 162-page report on July 4th that disputed the Smithsonian's account of American history. The report by the White House Domestic Policy Council said the National Museum of American History was, quote, an instrument for a radical activist cohort that sought to reframe the American story to serve its ideological ends. Trump's latest order said signage should notify visitors that the museum's exhibits, quote, should be renovated consistent with findings. What findings would there be that said that slavery was inaccurate in our history? Or the internment of Japanese and Chinese people during World War II? Or numerous other atrocities? What about that? Or suffragettes, and when women didn't have a vote, and Jim Crow, and Reconstruction? Should we not be talking about any of that? Apparently. So this, you're right, political pirate. This is an example, you guys, about how the legacy that they're trying to create is not just for today, it is for future generations. Why do you think Trump wants to put his name on everything? Because he's not going to be remembered favorably, without question. So he needs to have his mark, literally. Like he literally wants to piss on the tree. And the tree in this case is Washington. The tree in this case is fucking history, right? Not only does he want to do this, but I shared this story with you last week about how they're removing protections for endangered species, trying to change the terminology so that people can hunt and fish and trap, et cetera, et cetera. We already know what he's doing in national parks. Once those things are gone, they're gone. Once national parks and landmarks get drilled and or mined, they're gone. They're not coming back. Once protections are removed, like for the manatees, free Francis, free the manatees. Hashtag free Francis, free the manatees. Once that happens, once they disappear, they're not coming back. I ask, why? Why is it suddenly necessary that we have to go through DC and rewrite or alert people of inaccurate history, claiming that it's an instrument for a radical activist cohort that sought to reframe the American story to serve its ideological ends? Trump's latest order said signage should notify visitors that the museum's exhibits should be renovated consistent with findings in the White House report. His order said the new signs would direct visitors to locations and resources for accurate information regarding America's history. Ren, if you're in here, when this happens, I would be curious. You'll be our spy. If you don't mind being our DC correspondent, I'd be curious to see what's changed. Because I will be in DC on around Election Day. Remember, I'm going to camp out in front of Bitch Boy's office. I'll bring popcorn. I'll bring his favorite snacks that he loves. But he leaves crumbs all over the sheets. I'll remind him of that. I'll bring his little shop vac that he loves so much. Anyway, I would be curious. That would direct visitors to locations and resources for accurate information regarding American history. Neither the White House nor the Smithsonian immediately responded to emailed requests for comment. The order also said the museum, quote, failed to, quote, appropriately honor the signers of the Declaration of Independence for the United States' 250th anniversary. Trump ordered federal officials to install temporary exhibits or signage along National Park Service maintained sidewalks, walkways, and other areas to correct inaccurate information presented in the museum. Again, what's inaccurate? Okay. Days earlier, Republican lawmakers strongly criticized Anthea Hartig, director of the National Museum, in congressional hearings. At a July 21st hearing, Rep. Tim Burchett, Republican from Tennessee, chairman of the House Oversight Committee, said the museum had, quote, become infected by a woke ideology and pointed to the White House report's finding. So a museum is now woke. So you get your little map, you walk in, okay, the dinosaurs are over there, cool. Ancient Egypt is over there, okay. Where is the woke section? Can somebody point me to the woke section? I want to go over there because that's where all the cool people hang out. The fuck? What the absolute fuck? That's the quote. 202-224-3121. I saw you, Victoria. That guy is from your state. 202-224-3121. I would be curious as to what Mr. Burchett's office would say when you ask him, question for you, sir. I have a question. You said in a statement recently that the Smithsonian had been infected by woke ideology. Can you please explain that to me? What does that mean? And is there a special VIP section? Because I would love to go hang out there. The report makes clear that the museum's woke exhibits and materials reflect a broader vision held by the museum's leadership, particularly its director, Dr. Anthea Hartig. Hartig, who has led the museum since 2019, said the White House report didn't fairly or accurately characterize the museum's work. In reframing traditional narratives, she said the museum is adding evidence and voices so more Americans can see themselves reflected in the national story. That's what a museum is supposed to do. Okay? History is supposed to tell a story. You know? Black Wall Street, Stonewall. These are all things that the conservatives don't want to talk about. Why? Because it makes white people look bad? Is that what? That's probably why, right? Especially white cis hetero men. That's probably why. Up in your feelings again? Yeah. That's what history's supposed to do. That's why it's so important. That's why we talk about it. That's why we connect the dots for you all. That's why we go back and say, listen, there is correlation here. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And we are seeing examples of things throughout world history that is rhyming today, rhyming like Dr. Seuss rhyming. Okay? So no wonder they don't want to talk about it. No wonder they don't want to talk about it. No wonder. Nick, you're in the chat. You can come up and talk. It's debate night. Feel free. Drop a request and we'll bring you right up, Nick, because I'm sure you've got some amazing things to say. Everybody in here is looking forward to hearing from you. Anyway, she said the museum is adding evidence and voices so more Americans can see themselves reflected in the national story, which she added includes the Declaration, Revolution, Constitution, and national symbols. We tell the truth about the times that the country fell short of its own founding ideals. Telling our story fully is a form of respect for the American people and a commitment to constantly being in pursuit of a more perfect union. On July 25th, it was unclear whether warning signs had been placed outside the museum in compliance with Trump's order. The Park Service and Interior Department didn't immediately respond to emailed requests for comment. The museum, open daily, except on Christmas Day, is free to the public. And just like that, our DC correspondent is here, checking in from the field. How are you? Hang on one second. Hang on one second, Ryan. I just got to reset something. It's always the first guest. Hate that. Don't know what that is, but I'll fix it. Give me 1 second, friend. And first of all, and thank you for immediately jumping in. There we go. You're back. Hello. Did you hear my question?
I did hear your question, and I heard you like say my name, but I was playing Tetris, so I wasn't like I was like in my game. But when did you say those signs are going up?
Apparently now, because there was, as of today, it was unclear whether warning signs had been placed outside the museum. So the expectation was, because the executive order came down on July 21st, so a few days ago.
Okay. Well, tomorrow after church, I believe that all of the 250th bullshit, yes, that's how I refer to it, I believe that all the 250th bullshit is taken down now, but when it was all up, it was nearly impossible to go to any of the museums adequately. Like, I mean, already the mall is a very large expanse to walk across.
Yeah.
But when they had it walled off, you had to walk even further around to get to the museums. You couldn't just walk from one side to the other. It was really stupid. But anyways, I think it's all down now, so I will definitely stop by. I'll at least with all of the museums you're saying are supposed to have this.
It says specifically. I can read the. I'll send you this article. It talks about
Okay, send me the article.
the July 24th executive order. Specifically, it signs outside the National Museum of American History.
American Museum of okay.
The National Museum of American History, and they mentioned the Smithsonian
Okay.
and the Smithsonian as well. Those two. That's what they mentioned. One and the same, I guess.
All right. Well, I will start with that one then. I don't have a whole lot of time tomorrow, so
You don't have to tomorrow.
I will start with the one that is specifically listed.
I appreciate that, and I'm not. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I've been to DC, and
No, you're good.
For people who haven't, can you just let folks know how awesome the walk around the mall is with all the museums? Because it's something that just doesn't get. I mean, it's incredible. What an amazing thing. If you felt that way, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but
No, I 100% feel that way. And I do semi regularly just go down and do a live and just wander around the mall when it was completely open, which it hasn't been for the last month. So it's been difficult. But I go to the reflecting pool, which is, I believe, currently all blocked off, and it's got like black tarp around the fences too. So you can't even see in that. So that's super fun. But they had every single part of the mall for the last month has been so blocked off that I just haven't even wanted to get anywhere near it. But now that things are calming down and things should be getting packed up, I will start doing those lives again, because those are some of the most, and as long as it's not 4 million degrees.
Yeah.
But yes, I did a whole live of all of the state booths. And like I walked into every single one. I missed one. I can't remember what it was now. But I missed one, but I went into every single one that I saw. And walking around the mall is very beautiful. I will say that there are people who are like, "Oh, Washington, D.C. is so much more beautiful now." And just FYI for everybody who's in here, if you've seen the fake news picture that I think it's been on Truth Social of the water fountain in front of the train station, Union Station, Columbus Circle.
Columbus Circle, yeah.
There's a picture. Yeah, there's a picture up there when it was after some protest. I don't even remember what it was. There was a protest and people did graffiti that stacked that monument, and Biden was in office. So the picture did happen under Biden's watch, but he had people come in and clean it up immediately. It did not stay that way. It was not like an eyesore for like months and months and months. He had it cleaned up. But what Truth Social will have you believe, and trust me, I don't go there. I can't go there.
I got you.
But from what I've seen,
I'll do recon.
Yeah, I know.
do recon over there for you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
I can't have that in my phone. But from everything that I've seen, they're trying to portray it as though like this is what Columbus Circle looks like under Biden, and this is what it looks like now under Trump. And it's like not accurate.
Not even
accurate.
close. Yeah.
Not even close. But I definitely do lives where I wander around the entire city. I'm 13-year-old boy.
Aren't we all?
So yeah, just a little bit. But tomorrow I will be at Pete Hegseth's church, approximately 10:30 a.m. I do not know if he's going to be there. It's always a crapshoot. He's only been there like 2 or 3 weeks out of the last 8 or 9. So we shall see. Sometimes we get sightings, but there will always be a misuse of our tax dollars in
Of course,
protective detail
Sure.
there, regardless.
Sure. Well, thank you for doing the work. I'll just be curious to what you see. So again, they're putting this is based on an executive order dated July 24th. The title of it is "Restoring Trust in the Smithsonian Institute." Lovely.
Okay, well, I will text you
Okay.
before when I'm leaving church to going to over to the Smithsonian area, and then I'll let you know when I'm getting ready to hop on a live there, so you can like
Okay.
see it,
I
see
appreciate
it with
that.
your eyes too as well if you want.
I appreciate
Okay.
that. Friends, please follow Ren because she does a lot of recon for us. She goes to Pete Hegseth's church and causes a little good trouble. Thank you for doing the work, friend. I really appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you. See you later.
Talk to you later. Bye. Wonderful. Just wonderful. Just now we're going to go after the Smithsonian. So by the authority, this is the executive order. Again, restoring trust in the Smithsonian Institution. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. I guess I should do this. I won't read the whole thing, but I'll just read some of it.
On March 27th, I issued Executive Order 14253, restoring truth and sanity to American history. Pursuant to that order, the Domestic Policy Council recently completed a months-long review of the Smithsonian Institution and its National Museum of American History Museum, and issued its findings in the report entitled Saving America's Story, How Ideological Capture at the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of American History Erases Our Heritage. The report demonstrates that the Smithsonian leadership does not present American history as a shared national inheritance to be taught and celebrated, but instead views American history as a prime tool to advance ideas of social justice and the radical transformation of our society. The report also overwhelmingly demonstrates that current leadership of both the Smithsonian and the museum cannot be trusted to tell America's story with honesty and gratitude. It is therefore the policy of my administration to take all available steps to ensure that the issues identified in the report are addressed and to restore trust in the Smithsonian.
Warning visitors about ideological capture, claiming it's woke. Nothing in this order shall be construed to impair or otherwise affect the authority granted to me is by the executive. Signed, Donald J. Trump. Okay. Well, I can guarantee you, we can imagine this. After he clears it with Natalie, because he's got to run it by her. Stephen Miller is sitting in he's curled up on his little hammock or his little hassock. He's like, Mr. President's about to dunk on black people. No more minorities. We're going to remove all the lies in the Smithsonian. Whitewashing for everyone. Hanging by his claws from the ceiling, getting off on it. I'll never forget Katie Miller, Stephen Miller's wife, referred to him as a sexual matador. I apologize. I know I shouldn't have said that. As soon as I mentioned it, I should never have said it. Spiegel Miller Francis. My precious, erasing history. Yes. My brother. Sorry I had to jump on you so abruptly earlier. How are you?
I really felt away. I said, "Where'd he go?"
Yeah,
I
sorry.
was so lonely afterwards.
We had an issue. We had an issue with paperwork getting submitted for. We had a deadline at USC today, and there was an issue with paperwork, so I had to talk my daughter off the ledge. Anyway, we're good.
Things happen. All good. All good. I just came up here to say that yes, democratic socialism can in fact save America, and you can't tell me that three of these people in the background here aren't the most closely related you felt to any of our Democratic or left-leaning politicians ever.
Agreed.
And if you don't relate to them, you should probably ask yourself why. That is definitely going to be a you problem. With that being said, I'm only up here for one request, just one little weekend request, okay? And I'm a black boy, okay? And I think in the United States of America, there's been quite a bit done, especially in the last over a year and a half, to take away a black boy's joy, to take away a black girl's joy, black man's, black woman's, a black trans person. So if you guys can do me a favor and increase my black joy, I would appreciate it. And here's a very easy, simple little way that you can make your little black boy happy. I love to see Steve's bright white teeth, okay? I love to see his smile just go from the furthest end to the other end. It gives me so much pleasure. So if you guys would like to see a black boy smile tonight, you know what to do. Please hit up his links in the bio. And when you put that message in there, that donation, that thank you, please make sure it says, because Hector said so. With that being said,
I love you, dude.
I'm out.
I love you, brother. See you later. I got in a little trouble because I mentioned that on his live today when I joined him. I said because I used what he said, make a black boy happy, and I got in a little trouble. And Hector came to my defense because it was his quote, not mine. But thank you, Hector. I appreciate you. He's always very generous with his time. Hector, Erica, and all of our friends. Please, if you don't follow Hector, I know he's still in here. Please do so. I learn a lot from him. Learn a lot from Erica. Learn a lot from the communities that welcome me in. And it's our responsibility, by the way, as white people, to sit and fucking listen. So thank you, friends. I appreciate that. Anyway, this whole story is maddening. It's this. I don't know how to describe this. Like, I can't put it in terms of like, the severity of it. It's not, it's not violating constitutional norms. It's not suppressing the vote. It's not an illegal war on Iran, but it's incredibly important because it's legacy. We're talking about like erasing fucking history. And once it's gone, right? I mean, once you start eliminating habitats and you start tearing down monuments and you clear cut and you strip mine, etc., then it's fucking gone. Okay? So I don't know. It really just frustrates the shit out of me. It really does. I think that's all I really wanted to get to tonight, friends, so we can shift gears and move on into debate talk. Did I get everything I wanted to play out of the way? This is the last thing I wanted to cover. Since we're talking about journalists, this is the last thing I wanted to cover. This is Wolf Blitzer. He's standing 5 feet from the president. Wolf was the master of ceremonies, the MC, and he was giving an award to the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal, who, by the way, is the news agency who broke the story about the birthday book. And the president had to sit there and listen to this.
And now the Katharine Graham Award for Courage and Accountability, named for the legendary Washington Post publisher. And it comes with a prize of $10,000.
Did I say Wall Street Journal? I meant Washington Post.
This year's award goes to the Wall Street Journal.
No, I was right. Okay.
The Journal's courageous reporting on President Trump's past relationship with financier Jeffrey Epstein triggered the release of the so-called Epstein files, thousands of documents that might otherwise have remained hidden from the public. And despite the president's threat of a lawsuit, the Journal published a story about a provocative letter to Epstein bearing President Trump's signature. Trump quickly filed a $20 billion lawsuit against the Journal, revealing reporter Khadija Safdar's home address. Her family had to be relocated. The Journal was kicked off of Air Force One, but the reporters continue to file revelatory stories. Please welcome the winners of the Katharine Graham Award from the Wall Street Journal. Khadija Safdar, Sadie Gurman, Annie Linsky, Josh Dawsey again, Alex Leary, Rebecca Ballhaus, and Ryan Barber. Their colleague, Joe Palazzolo, could not attend tonight.
They walk like right by the president. The story about, again, the birthday book, and he sues them for billions of dollars. He calls his buddy Rupert Murdoch and said, "Hey, bro, can you do something about this?" Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This was fucking chef's kiss. Anywho, That's all for that segment. We are now in full-on debate mode. If you want to come up and talk, but we'll see how it goes. Like, we may not get a lot of opposition tonight. I'm just curious because I firmly believe that democratic socialism can save America. I have numerous reasons as to why I feel that way, but I would just be curious as to why you agree or disagree. Good evening, Jennifer. How are you tonight?
I am well. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm calling HR. Just want to let you know.
HR? You're calling HR?
HR,
Okay, that's
yes.
fine.
Yep.
Michelle, I'm coming to your office. We're going to have a thick conversation, young lady. Anyways. Hey, everybody, listen up. We need your help to push Steve out on the FYP page. We are behind a little bit. And I need everybody to go up to the O and do something on Steve's background. Click that purple box and let's throw some caps and let's finish out that gift goal. We would love some big gifts tonight. It's about pushing out the algorithm and telling TikTok we're engaged. Every coin helps. Make sure that you've sent your daily heart me. You're sharing out the live. And I am excited for the debates and to hear what MAGA has to say about democratic socialism.
Me too.
And when is it my chance to debate, Dad?
You can hang. You can stick around.
Well, if we even have MAGA to debate. I know that there was a gentleman down there that didn't like the idea, and he's more than welcome to come up.
He is. Real quick, Erica, thank you for the $10 on the Venmo. Ali Mom, thank you for the 3. I appreciate you very, very much. It's incredibly kind. You guys are so generous. You help us do this. This is now my gig, and y'all are amazing and supportive of what we're trying to do. We might have a few updates for you guys over the next few days about a couple of things, including potential documentary, all kinds of stuff that's happening. So it's all good shit. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. All right. If you are in the box and you are friendly, if I could ask that you just drop out temporarily. Like, I don't know everybody who's in here, so I'll just bring up some people that are in the box if they've requested, and we can see how it goes. Good evening, everybody. Sparky, how are you tonight? Did you request? Sparky? Sparky Cheeky? I guess Sparky Cheeky did not request. Okay. I'm assuming everybody else that's in the box right now. So that'd be Victoria, CYB Mom, CJ, and Giovanni. You guys are the only ones that are left in the guest box. I'm assuming that you are friendlies. If you are, then please just drop out temporarily. Maybe we'll reset the box, so to speak. It's difficult when your box isn't reset normally. It takes a while sometimes. It takes a little while to reset your box. Jennifer. Hello.
Sir.
Yes. Do you want to?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to let people know about what's happening on Monday with a particular individual?
Oh, okay. Yeah. On Monday, July 27th, my birthday.
Jen's birthday. She'll be 20.
Steve is going
She'll be 29 again.
That's correct. Steve will be interviewing Sheriff Chad Bianco.
Be very interesting.
Sheriff Chad Bianco ran for governor, California, as a Republican, and my opinion, did Donald Trump's dirty work for him with election transparency, and then Donald Trump endorsed Hilton.
Yeah, so we were just talking about that before we went live tonight, and we're not from a technology perspective, but I made a decision that because we're going to be getting into topics that involve erections, I was worried about losing the live. So this interview will be done via Zoom. It will be pre-recorded, and we will air the content. In fact, I might, depending on how it is, I will use the days after, either Tuesday and Wednesday, and air the entire interview. We made that decision based on a couple of factors, but I was more concerned about losing the live, especially if we talk about, erections. I don't want to go down that road. So we will put it on YouTube as well. Yes, we'll put it on YouTube as well. So that'll be on Monday afternoon. We'll be doing that. We'll talk about it probably on Monday night's edition of That's a Wrap. And then likely we will, post that content as early as Tuesday, if not soon thereafter. So it'll be interesting because he's got a very. I'm intrigued by him. Yes, I know he's an oath keeper. Yes, I know he's got a lot going on, but I'm intrigued. I think it's an intriguing story to tell, and because we believe in independent journalism, the fact that we can have that kind of access, the fact that he agreed to do it, and we can all thank Jen for that. The fact that he agreed to do it, I think, is interesting because he knows who I am. I mean, well, limited because Jen shared who I am and what we do here. So the fact that he agreed to do it, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think that him being an oath keeper is just one aspect of Chad Bianco. The other thing is that he calls himself a constitutional sheriff. I'd love to hear his explanation of what he believes that means. And anybody who lives in Southern California, specifically Riverside County, there's a lot of things going on there with the sheriff's department, including human rights violations and discrimination. And those are things that need to be spoken about and asked about as well. That is an important topic, being an oath keeper, but there's so much more as well.
There is.
And I know that, Sadie says hi. And I know that Steve is going to press him for it in a common professional way. And I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time working on the questions, got some questions nailed down, feeling pretty good about it. I've been practicing them in my head. When I was out on my motorcycle earlier this week, I was kind of running through the script in my head as I want to do. So looking forward to that. That'll be coming up on Monday. And then on Monday night after that, I've been invited by our friends Lisa and Stacy, who host the podcast and the live stream Friends with Political Benefits. And we're going to be interviewing a communist who's running for office. So that's going to be a full day. And then following that, we'll do That's a Wrap. So I'll probably not be able to talk by then. But no one will mind if I don't shut up once in a while.
That's not true. That's not true.
Okay.
But,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I'm saying, like, where are all the MAGA that want to debate tonight? I just don't understand.
Well, that's what happens these days.
And I don't know where all the caps are. We need some caps on Steve. He looks good in the baseball. I know they're blue and they're not Red Sox.
That's fine.
But
we all can't be perfect.
Throwing those caps out would be greatly appreciated to pull us up on the leaderboard.
Yeah, Eric, you should request up.
Eric.
Yeah, come on up, Eric. Listen, Jen bites. I don't. I only nibble. You can come on up. Please feel free. We've got a spot for you. It's nice and clean. We disinfected it. We put a little bit of potpourri around it. It's really comfortable. There's chips.
I'll mute up.
I can make you a margarita. Non-alcoholic.
Well, no, let's not go crazy. Here, MAGA.
But this is what we're finding. Well, it's funny that we talk about this because this is what we're seeing these days. And we're test driving this, friends. Like, so what we were just discussing was, like our 4-hour show in the morning that's really important to people. It's important to me. And then perhaps extending this to a few hours in the evening. And so it could be, 7 hours of me over the course of the day. People are going to be like, really? Again? It's like literally the bad penny.
Yeah.
Yes, Tata, you can go for the mug.
And I think that the reason that you're having trouble getting MAGA up here is because it's really getting more difficult to defend the indefensible.
Yeah, that's why I thought this topic might be interesting because, we hear them talking about it. And when we talk about things in terms of democratic socialism, friends, and I let the right say what they want. They can talk about communism. They can say whatever they want. What we talk about is the foundational elements of democratic socialism, which is investment in healthcare, investment in infrastructure, investment in a strong social safety net, and guaranteeing that we can progress our society forward. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's what this is all about. So you look at somebody like Zohran Mamdani, the reason they talk about him so much, the reason they think he's a threat is because he is a threat. He is a threat to the corporate class. He is a threat to authoritarian capitalism. He is an absolute threat. And I like it. And why wouldn't most people? So when people start talking about it, there's people in the chat saying, no, socialism is the end. Most of you don't even know what it means. Most of you don't know what it means. You've been living in a system for so long that's been taking advantage of you, that's been ripping you off, that's been causing you harm, that's impacted generations, and you want to continue to support that, maybe try something different. Maybe change your underwear once in a while. Eesh. Eesh.
I just start thinking about the streaks that must be in their underwear. Ugh.
That's gross. Why'd you go there? Okay, so this is HR.
Oh, you brought HR?
I brought up HR to file a formal
Who
complaint.
brought HR?
To file a formal complaint.
This is
Yes.
this is actually you. Everybody in the chat, throw a rose because this is a once in a lifetime event that Michelle has come up on the panel.
It's true.
Uh-oh.
It's true.
Yep.
I know. I usually stay in the background. I'm very quiet.
What would you like to talk about?
I want to talk about where all these little bitches are that had so much to say in the chat and they're just quiet now. What happened?
It does happen. It does happen. I mean, it's stage fright, performance anxiety. They have to turn the lights off, all that kind of shit.
Yeah. Keep their socks on.
Keep their sock on. Yes.
Keep the pepper and tweezers handy.
Oh! Wow. Wow. From the top rope.
I don't get it.
Of course not.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, Jen. I love you.
I have somebody in the box. I'm not sure what's got. Please hang out, you guys. Thanks for being here, friends. Keep tapping, everybody. TT, how are you tonight? Okay.
Whoop.
See, stage fright. Stage fright.
He's afraid of HR.
He was gonna knock.
Kidding.
He was gonna knock on the door, and then he ran. He left a bag of poop, and then he left.
Putt said, I forgot the Vaseline.
Oof. Ouch. Ouch. Yeah, please request that. We do want to have these conversations, and the way we like to approach this is that I genuinely want to engage. Wow, I genuinely want to engage on politics. We don't play the culture war bullshit around here. We just don't do it. It's not something we do. And for those of you who've been following me, that are loyal followers, the rules have not changed for us. I'm not gonna platform blatant racists. I'm not gonna platform transphobes and bigots and people who just want to slur, people who just are rape apologists. I know that narrows the field, but that's fine. That's good. I want to talk politics. I want people to defend capitalism. I want to give them an opportunity to talk about what democratic socialism is. I want people to understand what Medicare for all is, single payer health care. I want to talk about how we feel like we should be investing in education. Those are the conversations that we should be having. And to be honest, that's what the Do Something Tour is about. So when we're out talking to people, that's what it's going to be. I'm not going to have a background behind me. It's not going to be about rage bait. It's literally just about a camera in your face. Can we have questions? Can we answer questions? Sitting at the diner, remember, here's the visual. I'm on the greasy spoon diner with the heavy white cups for your coffee, with coffee that's been sitting on the burner for a couple hours that is so thick but so fucking good. Corned beef and hash with rye toast and a glass of orange juice, and I'm just observing the room. And I see somebody looks interesting, and I walk over to them, and I put the phone in front of their face, or we have the documentary filmmaker or whatever else. Would you like to have a conversation? Are you a voter? And then we're off. That's it. That's how this whole thing started. That's how this entire thing started. That was the vision that I had in my head. Because I've had those conversations in my life. You guys remember the story I told you a few months ago where I met an individual who happened to be a minister. And we were talking about a wide range of topics, including sex work. And he's a minister. And he invited me into his church. And we talked about everything. And he mentioned me in his sermon. And I was humbled by that. But he was a conservative voter. He swallowed hard and voted for Trump. And then we had these conversations. I was talking about the things that we discuss here oftentimes, about how, our healthcare system is fucked up and we don't provide for people. And why do we have poor people? And if you're a man of God, why would you ever vote conservative? And he was intrigued by that. He commented on my fingernails. It was wild. And then I said, I'm a progressive. He's like, I just worry about, legalizing marijuana was a problem because it brings in drugs. It brings in sex work. I'm like, I support sex work. He's like, wait, you support sex work? I'm like, absolutely. That's your choice. As long as it's, I understand it's part of the patriarchy. It's complicated. It's not, it's not as easy just yes or no. Of course, it's nuanced, but, I'm trying to move society forward. That's all. I'm just trying to move it forward and leave it better for my daughter and for Michelle's kids and for Jen's kids and grandkids someday. That's what I'm trying to do. That's it.
And who wouldn't want that?
Exactly. Who would want that?
Really, Yeah, I feel like we have more in common than we disagree on. They're just too blind and stubborn to see that.
Yes. Sadly, that is sadly true. Somebody just mentioned this. This is my kid living her best life. She's making a movie down in southern Vermont. She's my Y, along with her brothers. Yeah. I mean, she's living her best life. She's a production assistant. She got the clapboard, the sign girl, as she called herself. She got to work on the camera. She's living her life, and I'm so happy for her. So it's good. It's good shit. Where was I? This one. So MAGA, jump on in. We want to talk to you. In fact, I will shut up and I'll let Michelle and Jen chat you up. Do you think that, Sharita? She does look a little bit like me. Yeah, I guess she does look a little bit like me. That's true. She does. Yep.
Very much.
Yep.
No, she totally looks like you.
Poor kid. This is what she's got to look forward to. Poor kid.
No comment.
Oh, that was all. That was all that was necessary. That was all that was necessary. I mean, yeah, that's true. Children are supposed to look more like their fathers, right? So that the male lions don't eat them. Is that right? Do you like the shirt? Yeah, I'm white, but not that white.
So I was in a live yesterday,
Mhm.
and this MAGA said that he was excited to vote for JD Vance in 2028. And I asked him, what has JD Vance done for the United States, the American people? And he couldn't answer. He couldn't answer. And the only thing he could come up with was the memorandum of understanding with Iran, which has failed. And I'm like, how is that good for the American people? So I'm just interested if there are other people that believe that Vance would be good, and you should come up and tell us why.
Yeah, I don't get the sense that the president is a big fan of JD at all. So I don't know if there's even going to be an endorsement there. I think the president prefers Marco Rubio. And you guys remember that Vanity Fair story that came out a few months back where Susie Wiles had comments in the interview about everybody, and she pretty much said bad things about everyone with the exception of Marco. So it's almost like she sees him, and I think she did that intentionally because I think she sees herself working for him in the future. So I think she was setting that up to have a job in the future post Trump. I guess we'll see. I don't want to talk about 2028 yet, though. We have a lot of work to do until then. A lot. 2026 is upon us. We're like 105 days until Election Day. What are you going to do on Election Day, Jen? Anything in particular? You're probably working. You're probably saving somebody's life.
Yeah, unless I request it off, and then of course I could meet you in DC. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I probably sit and bite my nails off watching TV and yelling at the screen,
celebrating,
joining lives,
celebrating. We should think about making a bingo card.
Oh yeah,
mods. You guys remember when we did bingo? I forget what it was for. What did we do bingo for? It was for I think it was for a debate. That was pretty fun. You guys remember when we did that? That was hilarious. We did it for a debate. He didn't. What's that? He didn't write that agreement, and with the blunders he makes, I can't imagine he negotiated it. Oh yeah, you're right. The memorandum of understanding. Well, he had Natalie write it for him. Natalie wrote it for him. By the way, there's more to that story about Caroline Leavitt walking into the Oval Office one day and seeing the president with crazy glue in his hand, gluing up things up on the wall, gold shit. That's just fucking disturbing. That right there, that is just so fucking disturbing. I can't stand gold. Hate it. Awesome powers, Faja. Mr. President, awesome powers, Faja. If you know, you know.
Oh my God.
So it's one of the millions of voices in my head. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
You know what, Jen? I think they're intimidated by the ladies up
I
And
think
it's,
so too.
Big D, I just
I
sent you.
think so too.
I just sent you an invite, Big D, because you said you find it hilarious. You idiots are fucking up the Democratic Party. Okay, would you please come up and tell us why that is, D? Because that may be true. That you know what? That actually may be true. But we need to hear from you and your infinite wisdom as to how it is that we're doing that. Because I'm intrigued.
let's have a little chit chat.
Yeah, we'll have a little chit chat.
Let's have a little chit chat, Cupcake.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly.
Let's have a
Please,
little chit chat.
please elaborate. That's a big word. That's like 4 syllables. Please explain.
Elaborate.
Mhm.
We got you.
Yep.
We'll help you figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah, in the meantime, let's see those caps flying for Steve.
Yep. Keep tapping, guys.
Tap, tap, tap.
Anybody?
200,000 tonight.
So anybody, mods, Michelle, Jen, anybody, if you see somebody in the chat who looks like they might want to talk to us, please invite them up. We'll have a chat. We'll have a chat. We'll have a little talk. We'll have some coffee.
Hey,
we'll
chat.
talk.
Let's tap the screen. Let's show MAGA what liberals do with their fingers.
I almost put out my water.
7, 7, 7, 7, 7.
Did you watch it?
Oh my God.
No, not yet.
No.
Oh my goodness. It makes it that much more funny when you actually see what it is.
Uh-huh. That was a long episode, but it was thicker. Yep.
Come on, Big D.
Steve's always blushing.
Show us how big your D is. Come on.
Come on, Big D. Seriously. Well,
Come on, Big D.
Bro, come on up. You're sitting in the
We
chat.
can use the white pepper.
Come on, man.
We can use the white pepper. It's fine. I got white pepper and black pepper. What do you're choosing?
It's fine, man. Come on up. We got you. Come on, Big D. It's all good. You know, I'll even stop. I won't even talk. And you can just talk to Jen and Michelle. They're kind. They're friendly. They're nice. They're smart. Ish. Depends on the day. We'll flex
I
on
can
you,
use
bro.
my fingers too. That's how I find out what time it is in East Coast.
Is that why you? That's why?
Among other things, Jen?
Yeah.
Got it.
Among other things.
Uh-huh.
I'm super talented. Super talented.
Okay, you
Yeah, we are.
Big D, please. We're gonna ask Big D. We don't want to mute you from the live. We really don't. We'd like you to come up and talk to us. Because if you genuinely believe that we are the destruction, we are the three of us, or these three people? Are they the end of the Democratic Party? Because if that's the case, then sign me up. Sign me up. I didn't run in for politics to end anything other than people with no mittens. Everybody needs mittens. That is my agenda. AOC believes it, although she's got tiny hands. And my friend Zoran, he doesn't need mittens because he's young and virile. There you go.
He's young and virile.
We won't censor you, Big D. Come on.
Come on, Big D.
We'll let you have a moment.
Are you not?
Show us how big your D is.
We'll give you the big screen even.
I was waiting for that. I'll bring up Shane in the meantime. What's up, Shane? How are you, bro?
Good. I mean, that's little D is so comical. I wanted to touch base on the Smithsonian thing really quick.
Please do. Yeah.
So, you know, the many boxes that I check off. I don't think you actually ever thought you'd hear this one come out of my mouth. But have you ever spoken to a Smithsonian artist?
Am I speaking to one now?
Yes, you are.
Well, there you go. Explain, please.
So when the Smithsonian contracts a certain community to put together an exhibit, it's usually strictly based on cultural exhibits. And those exhibits are pulled from many communities across the United States. They're often coordinated with county, city, and state museums. So when the exhibits are done being displayed and shown for their exhibit time at the Smithsonian, the big exhibit gets broken down into many and then dispersed to the local community museums in the cities and states. By altering the exhibits, like the Trump administration wants to do, those altered exhibits and historic notifications that are not, they're lies, will be filtered to those local community museums.
Really?
In cities, states, and counties. That's the disinformation. It's more than just the Smithsonian. They literally want to take and break those exhibits apart as they're shown and filter them to other communities. That's how it's funded. That's how they do it. And essentially, if you don't accept the exhibits, you don't get exhibits. You don't get funding for those smaller museums. Schmittler did the same thing.
Oh, really? Shocker. Said no one ever.
Yeah. So, like, for instance, the exhibit that I was a part of was actually it was an entire exhibit on the Burning Man culture and the many different communities that are actually a part of it. When it was done, it was broken apart and went to 29 different museums, and there was 4 different exhibits that went to different city museums throughout the United States. It actually rotated through a series of museums. So overall, the one exhibit from the Smithsonian ended up in over 200 museums on display.
That's really cool.
So if you think about that, if Stephen Miller was to do one of his dream white history rewritten displays, a massive one in the Smithsonian, it would then be broken apart into dozens of different historical displays and sent to their according museums. So he literally would be able to instill misinformation and rewrite history, white history, through the museums. That's one of the reasons why they wanted the Kennedy Center as well. It's indoctrination through culture and art. Exactly. It's like chapter 2 of Mein Kampf.
Absolutely, it is. I was literally just going to say that. That's how it started early on. You go after the intellectuals, you go after the artists, you go after the historians, you go after people whose work would be remembered, because they didn't want that era of history to be remembered. So of course you need to the satirists, the comics, all those people, they were the ones. I mean, and comedians historically, at least through our culture, have been ones that have been telling these stories in a strange sort of way. But you're right, Shane. By the way, I did not know that about you and about Dontrell as well, because I saw people commenting on that in the chat too. That's really cool. That's really cool. I think about Stephen Miller. He would just like to go into a room when the walls are just white. He would just like to sit in the middle.
Titanium oxide white. You're right.
Exactly. He would just like to sit there and then spank it to the white walls.
Bright white, non-reflective, non-refracting, no texture, just a 10 wall, super smooth, chalky white. So I was actually a part of Burning Man for over 16 years, and I actually worked for the organization for 9. For 3 of those years, I was an art support service lead. I managed a team of 7 people, and every year that we ran our squad, we had an average of 60 art pieces that we managed. So I oversaw, in the history of Burning Man, probably close to 180 art pieces that weren't mine. I was a part of over 24 art pieces that were installed on the playa, whether directly as a structural fabricator or as somebody who was a production manager or lead. So under my guise, I probably have close to 500 art pieces that I've installed at Burning Man and other places around the world.
Damn, Shane, that's freaking cool shit, bro. That's really, really cool. Loser, you're in the chat. Bro, first of all, it takes a lot of courage and character to give yourself a TikTok handle that says loser. So I'm intrigued by that in and of itself, because the first question I would ask is, like, why did you choose that particular name, loser, for your TikTok handle? That's really intriguing to me. But anyway, I'll invite some other folks up and let's see if we can have some more conversation. Thank you for being here, everybody. Appreciate you.
So, Steve, that's just what I wanted to add. And to the chat, thank you guys so much for your praise. Just remember, art isn't as important as culture. Go learn something. Go read something. Go watch something.
Well said, my dude. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here tonight, as always. See you Monday. Peace out.
Well said, Shane.
Opaque Rage, how are you tonight?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good.
I heard you talking last week about the FBI and Secret Service acquiring BMWs for their cars, and as much as I hate this administration, I actually approve of this, and the reason why is the GMC package that they use. There's 3 different GMCs or Suburbans that they use. There's a civilian that me and you can go out and get. Then there's a police version that most municipalities get, and then there's the government version. That government version starts at $210,000. These new and they're hard to get around small cities and towns. The BMWs are supposed to be more agile and have the same capabilities, plus they're still made in the United States.
Okay.
So only reason why made a simple.
Okay, I didn't realize it was car talk, but that's fine. I think the bigger issue, sir, the bigger issue is the optics when Americans are struggling to pay their bills, right? And we've got Kash Patel using government jets to fly to visit his girlfriend at concerts, or to go to MMA fights, or to go to Italy and do keg stands in the locker room with the hockey team. So did we need the BMW? Did we need the BMWs? No, we didn't need the BMWs. By the way, they're not American. That's one reason that we don't need them. What's the optics of the FBI director driving in a BMW as opposed to a GMC? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that too. I'm looking at it from I know you got a bike. I'm a car guy, and I'm kind of looking at this as from the numbers aspect of how much the BMWs cost compared to the 1-ton special government issue Suburbans that they use and Yukons that they use. I think the price difference is like about $80,000 per vehicle. But you're absolutely 100% right about the optics.
Yeah, that's the big thing for me. Sorry, Jen, go ahead.
Okay, my son just got back from deployment, and one of the things that he told me was that he was allowed 3-minute showers 3 times a week because they were conserving water because they couldn't afford to get it there. They also had no air conditioning in the area where they were sleeping, and when they said, will that ever get fixed, they said there's no money for it to be fixed. They had no mail, so they weren't able to vote in the primary elections. Why are we spending money on these things when our service members who are abroad are being neglected, the basics, like, I don't know, water for showers?
Ma'am, I 100% agree with you. I'm on y'all side 100%. I don't want anyone to get that anywhere confused.
We know. We get it.
And it's I have a problem with them with having an MMA fight on the front lawn instead of making sure our people have what they need out in the field.
Agreed.
That's it.
Agreed.
I get the optics of it being a BMW, but if it's an $80,000 difference per vehicle, I'm fine with that if we're saving money. If we're saving money, but you're right. Cash is doing this more as an optics thing because now I'm pulling up in a BMW.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That's another problem I have with it.
I agree. Thanks for that, Opig. I appreciate that, bro. Thanks for jumping in tonight. Be well. Talk to you soon. Hey, Missy, how are you?
Hi. Oh, just cruising the streets, taking it all in.
Feeling a little better?
Trying to see huh?
Feeling a little bit better?
Yes, finally. I mean, I still sound awful, but I'm surviving. Could be worse, you know?
Yeah, I saw you and I spent some time in that interesting room today. That was fun.
You know, and I always say this to you. I mean, I commend you for having such patience and you really try to educate and combat the misinformation, which I think, when anybody's scrolling by, I always say on these live streams, someone's listening for a couple minutes. There, if they hear a whole bunch of nonsense, people talking over people, and people are wanting to know what's going on, they're feeling nervous, they're feeling uncomfortable about things and you're just trying to, give actual information. But I will say that guy, that host, I had never seen him before
Me neither.
ever. He was a trip as far as just whatever planet he was on, but he, couldn't even bring up a source and he couldn't do anything to what you were saying. And then when I brought up the Situation Room, it was the pivot of the century. I
Sure
mean, it was just a
was.
mess.
It sure was. You know how we always joke in our little MAGA hunting chat that Kristen finds the incels. We tend to find the dregs. She finds all the incels. She's like the incel magnet. I know that's not a good thing. I'm sure she would agree.
Right.
But we tend to find the dregs. Like we find the weird. We all have in our little MAGA hunting chat. Everybody puts a live in there. We're all like, what the fuck is this now? Like the people that are dancing in their flower costumes. For example, I found that one.
Exactly.
Like, what is that?
And it's really, I feel like it's the ones where they are such tiny, tiny creators, which nothing against tiny creators or people who do live streams. But when they see this influx of people that come with us or with you, when we go into these different lives, it does change the way you see the host react, right? Like you see them crash out so fast. You see them, well, my internet's not working, like on thumbs the other day.
Oh my
When
God.
you were on it before.
I lost my
Oh my
shit.
God.
I lost my shit today. I don't like it when I get
Honest,
that.
yeah. Well, you had every right to. He's a terrible human being, and I clipped all of that nonsense that he was saying. But it's those type of people who are so wrong when they say my internet's not working. All of a sudden,
Yeah, so convenient.
you're on the internet. You're live streaming on the internet.
I know.
But you can't use the internet.
It's
Oh
so
my
true.
God!
It's so true.
I just can't with these people. It's the pretzeling they do in real time, but it's like you said, they're terrible people.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. What he said was absolutely terrible about he didn't care that 2,900 kids would be lost. And by the way, he said 29.
He did.
He did not say 2,900. His numbers were all off. It was just a mess, but I adore you. And so I wanted to pop up and say hi. I didn't know if you were having people hang out or what you were doing. So I just.
Well, I appreciate that. You're welcome to stay. We're trying to get debates. It doesn't seem we've got one person in the chat. His name he goes by Big D. By the way, Missy. Just want to let you know.
Yes.
Yep.
We wanted
Sure he
him
does.
to show his big D, but I'm going to drop because my phone is twiddling out. Is that a word?
Sure.
It is now.
Okay.
Well, whatever. I made it up. It's a whatever.
Okay. Come back, please, when you're ready.
Whatever.
I appreciate
I'll hang out for a little bit. Sure.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, and then I'll be down in the chat. Guys, we really need to get back up on that leaderboard. We really need the gifts. It's about keeping the algorithm up. We need Steve to be up in the top percentage. There's in the daily ranking up there. We're down into the 70th percentage. We need to get that up into the 50 or 10%. If you guys could keep getting that live goal finished, big gifts are greatly appreciated. We're working on twisting Steve's arm for some promotional stuff. So we'll get him down. Michelle and I called HR. HR said that she's going to twist his arm. So yeah, big gifts are greatly appreciated, you guys.
Purple nurple.
Thank you so much.
I need a lawyer. Bye,
I love
Jen.
you,
Not the purple nurple. Oy, oy, oy.
Love you.
We may have
Love
to
you.
resort to that.
Don't threaten me with a good time. No, the live we were talking about has to do. I don't normally talk about other creators, but I think it's, and since you brought it up, Missy, I think it's necessary because there are people out here, and I don't think he's putting on an act. I just think that's who he is. Who just and you both don't need me to tell you the amount of despicable men who say horrible things about women and women too, for that matter, as we've all seen. But this particular person, we were discussing, the number one cause of death for children between the ages of 1 and 18. And we got the stats, and I pulled it from the CDC, and he didn't agree. He said, I don't care. Those can't be the stats. And he tried to say it was something else. And we confirmed, then reaffirmed again that it was in fact. Thank you, Erica. I saw you in the chat. She pulled the data for me, and we went through the exercise. Anyway, 2,900 kids, and I asked him if he was okay with that, and he said he was fine with it because 4 million? I think he said 4 million, Missy. I think he said 4 million.
Yes.
4
Yeah,
million
his number
babies.
was 29 to 4 million.
Yeah, 4 million babies are being murdered every year through abortions. I think that was his quote. Something like that. Which is, just tells you a lot about people, and people like that. And this is the fascinating thing for me as we go through this era, is there are people that genuinely feel they're on the proper side of history, and they're going to be remembered fondly for views like that. It's crazy. I don't know how you live with I don't know how one lives with themselves.
I think also they're just willful ignorance, yes, but like when he was like, well, you know what, and I pulled up, like, after you left, I had it ready to go because I was like, I'm gonna put on my green screen and I'm gonna make sure this loser shows everybody exactly what Steve was talking about, and here it is, the proof. And then what did he say? He goes, I just don't believe that. You could tell me that's right. And it's the same thing. These people, this is why they're in a cult. You tell them what happened with Alex Preddy. We saw it with our eyes. They say that didn't happen. It's like telling them, this is a silver Honda. You see it with your eyes. It's a silver Honda. And they look at it and they go, that's orange. What do you mean? The news told me it's orange. Like, no, dude, it's a silver Honda. You see it. It's right there as silver. I'm thinking it's orange because Orange Mayo Mussolini told me it's orange. That's the mentality we're dealing with here. So even when we bring up literal facts, we show them the source. You said John Hopkins, all this stuff. You said everything. And he just said, I just don't believe it.
Don't believe it.
And he doubled down on it. That's what's crazy.
Missy, we left out the worst part. Remember what he said about Germany?
Oh, yeah. Ugh.
He said that either his wife's friend or someone that he knew, this woman,
Yes.
she had 11 abortions in Germany.
11, make it 13, make it 15. He's awful.
So, friends, like we always joke, we go to these places so you don't have to. You're welcome. Thank Missy. Thank Michelle. Thank Jen. So you don't all have to go. We'll go. We shower afterwards. It's totally fine. But it's not
Bleach our skin.
Bleach our skin, exactly. It's not always go through the decontamination wing. It's not always easy, but the reason that we do it is because we hope that, to Missy's point, somebody could be listening in the live. People are like, wait a minute, the number one cause of death for children is firearms? I had no idea. And that's why I do it. I won't speak for Missy, but I know that's why she does it too.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and I also despise them, and I kind of want to just watch them spiral. But yes, for the goodness of it, making sure we're combating the misinformation.
Yeah, we try our best. It's not always easy. And like we were discussing earlier, we're learning that there's not a lot of people out there. Like some of the people that we always mock in our little MAGA hunting chat, right? They're just not there anymore. They've left. Tatted, how are you today? Tatted Irish Shorty, are you there? Tatted Irish Shorty. Okay, I guess not. You can come back if you'd like. Anyway, what we've realized is a lot of the people that there's a few creators that we know that have their relatively large platforms and they stay in their spaces. But that's not what this is about, at least for us. We're just trying to inform people, try to provide a service. We do a show, we try to provide people with information, and people like Missy and Michelle and Kristen and Jen and Erica and all of our friends are out there trying to do the work. And the amount of, again, you guys don't need me to tell you this, the amount of just horrible, despicable men in this space just say some of the most horrible, despicable things to you guys. And you just, for the most part, you're just like, yeah, whatever. You're just a piece of gum on the sidewalk. Talk about you guys deserve your flowers for just dealing with that. And again, you don't need me to tell you that. You know how bad it is.
No, but you're so wonderful for saying that, and that, holding men accountable is huge, right? And it was like today when we were on that live, when I came up and then that other girl came up. I didn't know her, but she was crashing out, but she had every right to. I loved everything except for her slur, but everything else that she said was great. I knew where she was coming from. So many of us women are so heightened right now. We're so passionate right now. We're feeling so lost because we see so many things spiraling so quickly that we know are going to affect us personally. And so, of course, men don't understand that. And men who are hosting lives like that guy today, every single man talked over her and I. They never let us finish. And then who was dropped first? And then they tried to negotiate not dropping you. That what was crazy. They knew that having you there was bringing in an audience to, even though he said, I don't care about the audience. I don't care if people are listening. But people were there because you're educating, because you're actually completing a sentence, right? Using critical thinking skills. But as soon as her and I spoke out, boom, dropped. I mean, it's the misogyny all over again.
Carol Bow 50, can you please accept our request? You made an interesting comment, and we'd like to unpack it about how socialism leads to communism, and we all end up broke. Okay, I would be really curious because that's not my experience when we have this conversation, and I would question whether or not you know what communism is. So we don't bite. I won't speak for Missy and Michelle. I won't speak for them. I just nibble. I'm not going to speak for you two.
I might bite.
I chew you up. I'm not gonna.
Have you two ever met, by the way?
I don't know if we have actually.
I don't believe so. I'm usually the quiet stalker. I watch and yell at my phone from the other end, but Steve decided to call HR, so here I am.
Yeah, Michelle's HR.
Oh, perfect.
I'm going to try to find this person in the comments. Carol, would you please come up? I don't know I don't understand why you're so nervous. It's okay. Like I said, again, we visited the biting conversation. That's totally fine. We don't leave a mark. Let's put it that way. We don't leave a mark.
We've got another one, Rough House Genetics. Want to come up and talk about why you think Trump 2028 is a thing?
Yeah, that'd be cool. That's just like the conversation we had today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, Kristen, you are the disciplinary board. Yes, you are.
Hey,
you
Kristen,
you are the
we were
committee
just talking
of one.
about you.
You are the committee of one, Kristen. You hand out all punishment.
Steve, do you remember that creator's name today? Someone in the chat was asking. I couldn't even tell you. I just know he had a heavy accent, a Trump 2028 behind him, and what was that shirt? I remember the shirt.
Yeah, so I want to say it was like PYS. I think you can still see it. It's in our MAGA hunting chat. Missy, you can probably still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can
We'll
probably
have to find it.
Probably, I think it was PYS Lewis or Luis. I forget was in there. But yeah, he was an interesting character for sure. Okay, I see We Ride. Everybody keep tapping, please. Please give to our amazing panelists. Please, please, please. Like to see them both above 1,000 coins if possible. We Ride at Dawn. How are you tonight? Hello? We Ride? We Ride?
We Ride? Progressive in your pocket.
That was weird.
A little bit.
Sorry.
Do it again.
Neither one of you live in Texas, right? Good to know. If you know, you know. Rough House, please jump in the box. The question is, it is my belief, again, without speaking for Missy or Michelle, but I know confidently that they would agree that democratic socialism can save America. So my question then becomes to the conservatives, the libertarians, the non-voters, the MAGA Republicans, the Republicans, the ultra, the Groypers, the believers in benevolent dictators, all y'all, you authoritarian capitalists. If you disagree, and I'm sure many of you do, then please come up and tell us why. Because all we want is, first of all, we're trying to see if you all understand what it even means, because I don't think you do. As we know, when you're in the flock and you're in the cult, You tend to just follow whatever they tell you. So over the past month and a half, because we've seen a rise of popularity of democratic socialists, now because your community is getting threatened by it, so now you have to attack. Like you have to attack them. And why are you attacking them exactly? Roughhouse, can you please get up in the box, please? Listen, I don't want to boot you from the live. I hate doing that, but just get in the box, please. It's not going to hurt, I promise. Unless you like pain, because that's fine too. We don't judge. Take the BDSM test. We can find out. That's what we should do from now on. Anybody who wants to join, if you're MAGA,
Oh my God.
take the BDSM test before you become part of before you join our box. We can, exactly.
We don't kink shame.
We don't. No, we ask questions. We don't king shame. We're just curious. The woke bloke. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you? I'm not MAGA. I
That's
see
okay.
you just called for MAGA.
That's okay.
I'm a communist.
Okay.
So if you want MAGA,
No,
but if you're fine with that, I'm happy to. I'm not here to be. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I'd love to talk to you. Actually, I appreciate you jumping in.
Okay, great. So I think when it comes to democratic socialists, certainly you guys have had some big success, and if I have to, say some nice things about the DSA and democratic socialism in general, it's that it has helped bring the word socialism to the fore, which is certainly something that I appreciate.
Okay.
Where I have an issue with DSA is not so much, what you guys would optimally like to achieve, which is the end of capitalism, the end of imperialism, the end of white supremacy. It's the way in which you get there, which is the same way in which the Democrats and Republicans propose that they accomplish what they want to accomplish. And as a lawyer of 10 years experience, I understand the Constitution. I understand the way our government is set up. I just want to hear why you believe the American system of government as it is the best way to achieve your goals.
I don't think it is. That's why I'm advocating for democratic socialism. I'm a leftist, by the way, so I'm not a member of the DSA. I just tend to be I'm a policy wonk. So I tend to look at what democratic socialism policies are rooted in, and they talk about education, public health, infrastructure investment, strong social safety nets, all the things that authoritarian capitalism has done that's contributed to the demise of the middle class. So that's where I land on that issue.
Yeah, okay. So I think that policy-wise, there might be some overlap between us. I'm just wondering, what is your route to the dismantling of capitalism and white supremacy and the patriarchy?
So it starts with electing more down ballot progressives who are the ones that are courageous enough to go after those systems. So I'm going to ask you the same question, since there's not. So I've talked to many communists. In fact, when I was in New York for No Kings protests, I talked to a whole group of people who were there to unite. And I'm grateful for people who want to have different single opinions. But I've yet to hear any solution from anybody who identifies as a communist as to how to change the system. So could you tell me how?
Yeah.
So let me ask you the specific question. Can you tell me how you would change the system and the impact it would have on those people that are already under the foot of capitalism?
Yeah, so I think you're deflecting a little bit, and I'm not here to get into a hostile fight because
How am I deflecting?
I don't think that would be
I
productive.
just asked you a question.
What?
Well,
How am I deflecting?
I asked you what is the way in which you are going to achieve your goals, and you said elect down ballot progressives.
Yeah,
and I don't really think that. So is the plan that you're going to elect down ballot progressives across the country?
Correct.
You're just going to have incredible electoral success. Essentially, is the plan.
Well, that is a plan, considering that I've never heard a plan from a communist as to how we can fix our country. So I've answered your question. So now I'd like you. I'm not deflecting. I'm just curious that you identified as a communist. So I'd like to know what your plan is.
Yeah, so I think you are deflecting because I think saying electing down ballot progressives, but sure, I can answer.
Well, hold on a second. That's just the first part. There's
You're
so many.
deflecting right now by not answering.
Exactly, you're the
No,
one
no,
who's
you
deflecting.
guys-
No, sir. Woke.
You guys, I'm trying to get a straight answer to my question. I'm happy to answer.
Woke, please take a breath. You're in our space. We're happy to have this conversation with you. I was answering questions. You came in asking me questions. I answered. Now, out of respect to the space, I would like you to tell me. You don't need to worry about what I'm doing. I would like you to now tell me what your plan is to fix our system.
Yeah, so the thing is that I'm trying to get a straight answer from you, because once I can get a straight
I get
answer
it.
from you,
I'm
hold
not
on,
no,
hold on.
no,
Can I
sir.
finish?
No, you
Can
can't.
I finish?
No, you
Can I?
can't. No, you can't. Again, I am asking you to please tell me what your solution is. Don't worry about me, okay? I'm now asking you to tell me what your solution is. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So, okay, sure. I'm going to tell you if you let me finish, but you have to let me finish.
No, I don't
okay?
have to do anything. I'm willing to let you finish, but please answer the question. Go ahead.
Okay. So the prompt is democratic socialism can save America. I don't think it can save America.
Cool. Tell me your solution
Because electing, okay, because the idea of what you're calling for is, number one, not fully thought out.
Sir, I'm going to mute you again. I am asking you for your solution. I want you to ignore the prompt. You've identified as a communist. Okay. What I'm asking you for is, what is your solution as a communist?
revolution is more realistic than everything that you are proposing.
Okay, so
revolution is more realistic.
Great, that's a great word.
So no,
what
no.
does-
You don't.
Sir?
You just want to you want to interrupt me before I can
Well,
even
hold on.
finish the thought.
Hold on. This isn't your show, The Woke. First of all, you're a guest on here, and the host has asked you to explain yourself. You said revolution,
And
okay.
I can't finish a sentence before
You'll
you guys
be all right.
interrupt me.
Hold on. Take a breath. You'll be all right. If you want to get your point across, if it's that important to you, take a breath and think about how you want to speak it, because you're not speaking it. You're kind of just going on a merry-go-round. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't make any sense. I think
no,
that
it
you guys
does.
are threatened right now, which is why you're interrupting
No,
me.
we're not threatened. We just
What
want
would
to
we
know.
have to be threatened by?
But we just want to know what your answer is. You said revolution.
Because you're actually being questioned on your beliefs, and you
No,
guys can't back them up.
we're not. No, sir. Let me try this again. Okay.
Which is why you immediately turned it into, well, what about communism?
No,
you guys can't
We just want
back
an
up your
answer,
own.
sir. Just an
you guys-
answer.
We just want an answer. You said revolution. What does that mean to you? What does revolution mean to you? And the first question I asked you was, explain to me your solutions, and then the impact of marginalized communities that are already impacted under our system. All I'm asking you for is revolution, fine. But what does that mean? What does that look like? And then what is the impact? That's all I'm asking for. If you can't answer that, then that's fine. But that's what I'm asking you for. Please.
Yeah. Okay. So you have to let me finish. Can you do that? Can you let me finish before you
I'm not
interrupt
going to
me?
let you talk to the host that way, and I'm not here to fight his battles, but the misogyny, your emotions, your fragileness that you're showing right now, for whatever reason, you came in here hot and heavy. We've asked you a question. You want a revolution. Cool. What does that look like? And go.
Yeah, exactly. Just tell us
A
what it is.
revolution.
Okay, go for it.
So revolutions have happened in countries across the world.
We know that.
And the way that they start is you build a movement. And my belief, and the reason that I reject the DSA, is that I think any organizing principle has to start with the truth. And the truth is, you cannot use the American system to dismantle itself, because the American system is meant to preserve capitalism, white supremacy, and the patriarchy, which is why I disagree with the DSA. And to have a revolution in the United States of America, you need to have a mass political movement that starts with that truth.
Okay, I get
and
that.
that the overthrow of the United States government is going to come through a series of mass general strikes.
But how? So tell us how. So
Through
this-
a series of mass
hang on a
general
second, bro.
strikes
Hang on one second.
across.
Hang on. Like I said earlier. Hang on a second. Like I said earlier, this is the same script that I hear from everyone who claims to be what you are, and no one tells me how. You talk about a broad general strike. How does it work? Who are the organizers? How long are we talking? Do we have a government when we're done? What about poor people now? How does that work? Those are the questions that I want. I really do want to talk to you. I really, really do. People are interested. I
would recommend the book Socialist
I'm just trying
Reconstruction.
to understand. No, I'm asking for you to explain it to us. That's all. I'm asking you to explain it to us. Okay? That's all. Please.
Yes, it starts with a broad movement calling for mass general strikes, and the way
Who's
that
calling the strikes?
Yeah, who's doing that?
We've already had general strikes within the
Okay,
last
did they
year.
work?
You're acting like
Did
because
they
you're
work?
acting like
No,
you're
because
acting
general strikes
did the
don't work
DSA
because-
did the
hold on a
DSA
second.
work? Hold
on a second. The problem is
Has the DSA worked?
The problem is, sir, you're saying yes, it would work.
Oh,
if
so it has
everybody,
worked. It's
if-
already worked.
No, listen, stop. Live in 2026. Listen, people are too complacent in this country. People are too a part of the system where they have to work to feed their families, and they're not willing to wake up and not go to work and not have a paycheck. General strikes won't work in our country. It's just that we don't have the manpower. When the host is asking you, of course, sure, a strike in history, it would work if you have the right means to do it. We don't have that in our country, nor do we have the right amount of people who are willing to do that. That's just the truth of the matter.
You're acting like because it doesn't exist today, it can't ever exist.
No one is saying that.
First of all, if you're thinking you're going to wake up in the next few months and you're going to have everybody in this fucking country ready to strike and not go to work and not drive their cars, you're living in la la land.
Who said the next few months?
Well, that's what we're asking.
We only have a few months. What do you mean?
This is a process that is going to take years.
How long?
Years upon years, and it's going to take.
How long?
It is going to take the DSA failing. It is going to take the DSA failing before people realize it.
But how? But
I agree with you that people are not there. But the thing is that you guys can't. You can never take, like, you're criticizing me for not explaining how is the revolution going to happen.
No, sir.
But first of all, you guys can't explain how you're going to do it.
That wasn't the question.
Explain to me.
Sir,
explain.
no.
You don't like my.
Okay.
You don't like my explanation. Explain to me how you're going to do it.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
First off,
hang on
calm
one
the
second.
fuck down.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Woke. If you're trying to convince people of your movement, my recommendation for you would be to perhaps take a chill and answer questions. Because you've come in here, you're not defending your position, you're getting defensive. All I am asking you for is to tell us how it works. If I wasn't interested in talking to you about it, you wouldn't be here. I would have kicked you by now. So I am genuinely.
Yeah, this is crazy. Your
what am I doing?
Your chat is really talking about how you guys are Darvoing this. So like I told you.
Okay, I'm going to mute you, sir. I need you to stop and just explain to us. When I put you on mute, stay on mute, or you can leave. It's really that simple. I will send you an invitation to turn off your microphone, and then you can turn it off. I'm literally just asking you, without your emotions, without your pivoting, I'm just asking you to explain. You talked about a revolution, then you said a general strike. Who's organizing it? Who's involved? How long is it going to take? Have you thought about the impact on marginalized communities? Any of that stuff. That is what I'm asking you to explain. That's it. That's all I am asking you to explain to us. That's it. Please explain that.
So people currently are organizing general strikes. That is happening.
Where?
And they have grown in size. They have grown in size. There was one in January. There was one just 2 months ago. There is a massive one being planned by labor unions across the country for 2028. These movements are growing, and each general strike that we have had has grown each time. Indivisible assisted in participating the last general strike and organizing it. And the ultimate leverage that the population of America has is their labor. It is not their vote. It is their labor.
Agreed.
Withholding our work from the system is the fastest way to get the capitalists to understand that our movement is undeniable.
We agree with that.
We don't disagree.
Okay.
We don't disagree.
But then what happens to the disability community and the seniors who can't survive off of what
This
they've
is
got
this
right
is
now?
why you need to build dual power structures in America. You need to build a parallel movement. The same groups that are organizing the general strike, the political parties that support these movements, you need to build a parallel system that can account for all of the communities that are going to be impacted.
Who needs to build them?
Political parties in America. There's the PSL. There's the RCA.
So what you haven't yet answered, and Michelle mentioned this, and I think other people on the panel have mentioned it as well. So what in the meantime, what do we do about the disabled community? What do we do about children who are already under pressure? 14 million households in our country who don't have enough or living under food insecurity. Those families can't make ends meet now, paycheck to paycheck. How do they survive during this transitionary period for you?
I just said you build build dual power structures so that mutual aid can provide for people. And what you really need to
Mutual aid.
show people, and
Mutual
like, so hold on a second. What parties like the PSL need to show people is that as the system inevitably collapses, and it will, this capitalist system will inevitably collapse. In order for a party like the PSL to be successful, we have to show them that we can successfully provide for them, so that when the revolution does happen and the system does collapse, that those power structures exist to absorb them and to take care of them. So I agree with you that hold on, let me finish. I agree with you. There is a ton of work to be done to build these dual power structure systems. I believe that it is more realistic than everything you guys are suggesting. And I do want you to tell me, how does electing down ballot progressives lead to the same destination?
Because I'll answer that question for you, but what you still haven't answered, and this is what I'm really curious about, because can you acknowledge, or well, I don't need you to acknowledge, we know this. I think the number is 60% of Americans currently live paycheck to paycheck. Can you accept that truth?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. That is the capitalist system.
Again, none of us disagree with that, but that is the reality of our circumstance. We've got tens of millions of Americans who are uninsured or underinsured. There's 14 million.
And it's going to get worse.
There's 14 million.
It's going to get worse.
There's 14 million households with, I think, 7 million children that are living in food insecurity. So during this transitional period, I heard you mention mutual aid. So is your solution then that random people going through this transitionary period will then provide mutual aid to feed those families, since their parents are now going to be told to go out on general strike? How do we feed kids?
That's the idea of that is the idea of a dual power structure system. The Black Panthers originated this idea.
Oh my God.
Are you familiar with that? Can we agree?
I think that you're just living in the past and you're not understanding that if you're saying in your mind, this dual structure to years and years, it'll take years and years. We don't have years and years. So if your idea of a strike is something that would be happening sooner no, sir, you're wrong. We don't have years and years. What we have is an economy.
Is the DSA going to take control of the government within the next 4 years?
We have an economy that is I can't even finish myself.
You guys interrupt all the time. So
okay, you shut up and let a woman talk. You don't interrupt Steve as much as you interrupt Missy.
Yes, it's
Shut up and give her a minute to talk.
Exactly. Just listen. Look, listen. Thank you, Michelle. Go ahead, Missy.
Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate that. The bigger picture here is, okay, so I'm a parent to 2 disabled children, and we rely on services. We paycheck to paycheck in order to have those services, which are already being cut. And we're trying to figure out different avenues, waiting years and years that you're saying to have this big revolution. By the time you get there, my kids are going to unalive because they're not going to have their services. So even though you talk about this dual structure and how it's supposed to help, like if we're not able to work to have money to provide these services, or all our Medicaid gets cut and then they can't have these services, then it won't matter waiting years and years and years to get to that revolution. So right now, when we think about socialism with the democratic socialism movement, we're talking about how can we fix what's going on right now? How can we get people in place so that we can change the structure of things now to benefit us? Do you see the difference?
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, is your idea that the DSA is going to take control of local governments across the United States within 4 years?
No. So first of all, this is not the DSA. This is democratic socialism from a policy perspective. That's the disclaimer that I made from the very beginning. Like, do you believe, for example, that we are grossly underfunded public education in our country?
Absolutely.
Okay. So do you believe?
Yep.
Do you believe that in a system where that healthcare should be a right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously.
Okay. Hold on. Do you believe that we should be investing more in infrastructure in our communities?
Yes.
Okay. And do you also believe
this is all about how?
Okay.
This is all about how.
I understand.
We agree on goals.
Hold on. Do you also believe that we should have a strong social safety net?
I don't think that we should have a strong social safety net. I disagree, because that is a social democrat understanding of how to fix the system. So no, I don't agree with a strong social safety net.
So we shouldn't have protections for people if things go really bad?
I agree that you should let Ray up. because if you guys are going to go
I really
spend
think
3 on
you
1.
need you to stop telling this host what to do. He's trying to have a conversation with you. You're deflecting every time
Well, do you want to
he
hear
tries
from
to
a
act.
disabled woman? She's a
Well,
disabled woman.
That's fine, and I understand that. But right now, the host is trying to have a conversation with you, and we don't need to bring up other people until the host is ready to do so. So just answer his questions.
Yeah. See, so woke. This
Are you willing to have another communist join the chat? Are you willing to do that?
So woke. Well, I'll get to that. I appreciate that. If I were in your house, I would follow your rules. Like if you wanted me to use a coaster, I would. So you're in my house now.
Okay,
Please-
so you don't want to hear from a disabled
I
woman?
didn't say that. Can you just please chill, bro? I mean, we can end the conversation. I'm engaging with you because this is intriguing to me. So I'm just asking you to just chill. 2 questions I have for you. How old are you?
So you don't want to hear from another disabled communist?
Excuse me.
And I should be expected to go
Oh
against
my
your
God.
worldview?
Wait,
This
for a
is
second.
so annoying.
Listen. I've been listening to you, sir, for a while here. I've been listening in the chat, and I've been listening very patiently and quietly up here. And I'm losing my shit with you, really. You don't want to see Spicy Jen. You really don't. I see that you're demanding respect to be not spoken over, but then every person that speaks, you speak over them. Now you're trying to demand that other people come up on the panel. What the fuck is that about? You don't run this place. Steve runs this place. Steve will decide when he wants to. If you want respect, you should show respect. Okay? He doesn't have to bring up who you want to bring up, and you're not going to put words in anybody else's mouth. He's trying to converse with you, and you are not engaging. You are going off in your own fucking tangent, and it's annoying as fuck. Okay? Answer the question, or you can see yourself out.
Yeah. So the woke. How old are you? You can unmute. How old are you?
34 years old.
Do you have children?
I'm going to have a child.
So you don't currently.
That's correct.
Is your partner pregnant?
Yeah, I'm not going to give you a bunch of personal details about my life.
Well,
That's not where we're taking it.
you're planning on having a child in the future. So you don't currently have one.
That's correct.
So you're not. So are you in a relationship?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the reason. The reason I asked that question is because your perspective is very privileged. So you don't have to think about feeding your children. You don't have to think about taking them to appointments to have radiation blasted into their body. You don't have to worry about telling your daughter to be mindful of the fact that it's all men. Your privilege is very obvious right now. All we've been trying to do, and you've been incredibly disrespectful the entire time that you've been up here, is just understand your system, and you've not been able to explain it. And like I said early on, that's been the frustration that I've had with people who align with communism, the Communist Party of America, or whatever party, PSL.
That is a very offensive take.
Okay, listen.
That is very offensive. You have no idea if my partner has had miscarriages.
Do me a solid. Can you tell me what
you have no idea?
Don't even try to play victim.
Do me a solid, bro. Can you tell me what?
No, you have no idea.
Excuse
me.
Excuse me. I'm going to let you unmute your microphone. I'd like you to answer. I have one more question I want to ask you. What did you have for dinner?
No, I want you to apologize.
Nobody cares.
Apologize for what?
That's always the
Bro,
frustration.
the tokenizing of her was wild.
Yeah,
she's a disabled communist. Bring her up right now.
That's
What?
always the frustration. That's always the frustration. Hi Ray, I saw you in the chat. I'd love to have a conversation with you. How are you?
Hi. Good. Thank you for bringing me up.
Sure thing. No problem. Do you also align? Do you align with what our previous guest had politically?
Well, I am a socialist. I kind of jumped in here at the last minute. I didn't hear the rest of your conversation, but I wanted to come up because I heard you all bringing up concerns related to the marginalized concerning disabled people. I am a disabled woman, so that's a very personal issue to me.
Sure. Yeah. So
I am a mother of 2 disabled children, adult children.
So
mine are not adult children.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you were. I thought I saw in the chat that you mentioned that you were a communist, Ray. Are you not a communist, or are you? So, what's your political affiliation? If you were to label yourself, what would you label yourself as?
I'm a Marxist, I would say.
Okay, Okay. So then so what is your plan to fix things? Now the prompt is because I believe, like I said to start, I'm a policy wonk. I look at democratic socialist policies, I look at social democracies in Scandinavia, and I see that is appealing to me. That's the type of society that I want. And I have ideas as to how we can get there, but it's the long game. I may not see it in my lifetime, but I'm hoping that Missy's kids and Michelle's kids and Jen's grandchildren someday and other parents who've got younger kids, I hope they get to see it. So it's a long game. Like conservatives and the fascists in our government currently have been playing this game for 50 years. So what is your plan to fix things?
Yeah, so listen, I respect the policy wonkery. I would consider myself to be a policy wonk as well. I'm very interested. My husband and I have both been involved in teaching policy debate for many years. So, that's important to me. But I will say from my own lived experience, the kind of transition I would like to see is similar to what the previous person was describing as well. And the reason I think it's feasible is not just because of, knowledge or research about policy, although that's important. It's also because of my lived experience as a disabled person, as a person who, I have a lot of friends who are trans women here on visas, right? So they're in precarious situations. And they're not they don't have all the full rights that other kinds of people might have, right? And for us, mutual aid actually has been super important. Those networks are available all over the country. They do need to grow, obviously. There's room for improvement. But I will say, I know tons of people who have been literally able to survive as trans, disabled women, non-citizens, et cetera, because of these networks of mutual aid. In my ideal society, I would like to see that kind of thing be empowered and obviously grown, where more people can be connected to those things, and we have the resources to push that forward.
How do we get there though? See, that was the frustration from the previous call. I heard of revolution and I heard of general strikes. What I'm asking is how do we get there? Because in the interim, in this transitionary period, would you agree that there's going to be a lot of harm on people that are already in marginalized communities?
Well, in my personal opinion, I think there's a lot of harm presently in the current system. That's why this is a very important issue to me.
I agree.
So it's not a question of, is there harm versus is there no harm, right? There's going to be harm either way. And in light of that, I think the question is, how are we going to deal with that harm? And for me, I don't really trust the government to be able to appropriately handle the needs that I have and the needs that a lot of my friends have had, right? Because I have seen from personal experience that there are gaps in these government services. I'm not denying they're important, but there are significant gaps. And that is why my friends who, for instance, one of my friends she's a trans woman who was here on a visa. She did not have access to certain government services. So she had to rely on mutual aid in our local community to survive.
I get it. I understand, and I believe in the concept of mutual aid. I totally understand that. But what I'm trying to get an explanation, and maybe I'm not understanding it, but would you agree to get to where you would like our system to be? There's going to be this transitionary period. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, I think I do, if I understand what you mean by a transitionary period. In my opinion, I think so. When people say this word revolution, maybe that seems kind of abstract to people. In my opinion, revolution itself is a transition.
Okay.
Revolution is the name for that is the name for the long period of transition.
Okay. So fine. So how long? In your mind, if you were to map this out, how long?
I mean, that is, well, I wish I could answer that. I think it'll take a long time. In my opinion, I think we're already in it.
Is that 20 years, 30 years, 50 years? What's a long time?
Gosh, I mean, if I could answer that question, I feel like I'd be a psychic with a lot of money, you know what I mean?
But wait, real quick, I have to jump in, Steve. If we're already in it, right, then where are the groups that are setting up to have funds for all these families who are not going to be able to provide support for their kids with special needs? Let's say if we're talking about the special needs community, right? If you're saying we're already in it, but yet we haven't really done anything, I don't understand. I'm very confused.
Well, I don't think I agree that we haven't done anything because, like I said, I am like I am connected to a variety of local mutual aid groups. I moved recently, so like not so much in where I'm here currently, but where I lived for several years before where I was at, like I was connected with those groups. So I don't really want to say their names on a public live because they're small and local, but I'm just saying they exist.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, in the thought process of like my kids have sorry, my kids have Medicaid and then their Medicaid's been cut and we work and their services are over 10,000 for each kid a month, and that's not including all the other therapies they have to have. So in this moment that you're saying we're in it right now, that people are preparing for it, or these structures are happening where they are going to be able to financially take care of people who lose their jobs, who join this quote unquote revolution. If that is happening, why the fuck aren't we helping people right now instead of waiting so people just unalive, don't receive their services, all these other communities will be affected by it? To me, this just sounds asinine. I don't know.
So
I think I'm just confused.
Ray, excuse me, Ray, excuse me for just 1 second.
mhm.
So, just a general public service announcement. Our last guest was kind of a bit disrespectful and not really willing to engage. Ray's been nothing but respectful and willing to engage. So, Chad, if I could just ask that we just chill a little bit, because this is a really interesting topic to me. I've had many conversations with communists, and I'm still struggling to find out what the solutions are. And maybe Ray can help. So, if I could just ask the chat just to chill a little bit, so we can try to learn together. Thank you. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Thank you for that. Listen, I'm not even reading the chat right now, so if people are flaming me, I'm not even aware. It'll probably hurt my feelings, honestly. But to answer, I think what Missy was asking about, I do understand the concern. I think I just am a little confused by presenting it as like nothing is, or no one's doing anything right now. Because again, like in my own experience, and it's okay if like this is not your experience, right? But I'm just saying in my experience and the experience of a lot of my friends, community members, etc., like there are things happening. Like we're connected with them all over the country. So I'm not saying like it is possible right now everyone should drop their jobs right immediately now, right? But I'm saying like these are things that are happening and they're growing. And I feel like the way to make them better is to get more people involved with them, right? So that's kind of why like I want to talk to people like you guys. I want to be on a panel like this because like I'm an educator in real life, and I want to talk to people and make people aware like this is a thing that's happening. And I know a lot of people have a roadblock of, okay, but is this really possible? And I'm trying to say like it is, and the reason I believe it is because it's happening at the small scale now. Is that going to replace like your entire Medicare payment at this very moment? Probably not, because we don't have the resources for it now. But I'm saying like we need to put time and energy into building that up.
Okay, I think the concern that we're having. So, if I don't want to be too personal, I understand you explained that you're disabled. Do you have children?
I don't.
Okay, so I think the concern. I'm not going to speak for Michelle. I'm not going to speak for Missy. I obviously want them to speak for themselves. But I think the concern is that there is already a system, and we agree that we want structural changes to the system. I think we have different ways to get there. Our goals may be the same. Maybe not. Our goals may be the same, to do away with authoritarian capitalism and replace it with a system that centers around the matriarchy, that we have a trickle-up economic system where we prioritize education, women's health care, child care, families, all those kinds of things, and then allow the system to grow organically. That's sort of my belief. That maybe sound a bit ethereal for people, but that's kind of what I believe. The system of a matriarchy. Anyway, I'll let my plane here. What we're talking about, though, is in the interim, because I've heard people talk about general strike. So in your mind, is a general strike meaning everyone strikes?
I think that the most effective general strike would get as many people as possible to strike.
Okay.
And I think that what we need to do, and people are in the process of doing this, is there has to be like a mutual aid fund to tide people over while they are striking.
Who funds the mutual aid fund?
It's the people who are, it's the organizations, like the people in the organizations that are planning this strike.
Okay, so there's 342 million people in our country. Let's just use for round numbers. Let's say 250 million people are working. Okay, and those families they're people that are providing for their families. So this is a sincere question. Okay, this is a sincere question. You expect a mutual aid community to fund everyone? It's a question, maybe not an expectation. Do you expect, or do you desire, or is it your plan to have a broad, mutual aid community that's going to provide for everyone for as long as it's necessary to change the system?
Well, it's a good question, and I would put it this way. Sometimes, there's that quote like, "How do you eat a whole elephant? You do it in bites," right? And I think that in my mind, in my ideal world, we would be doing general strikes at a more local level. Okay, so there are general national strikes, and I support those as well. But I think the way to like 340 million is a really big number. But I think if you think about it like city by city, neighborhood by neighborhood, state by state, and slowly build that bigger, that feels more feasible. Listen, I'm not an expert on the numbers here, but that's how I think about it.
I just have a really quick question. I'm so sorry. I have to. So I understand where you're going, and I do think you really do have a good intent. You know what I mean? Like I don't think. Anyways, my point is that what are like when Steve asks, what do we do in the interim? I'm thinking more of with this administration and being like protecting the disabled community now and how you can help undo or stop the burn in what's going on now. Because now the Trump administration is looking to overturn Olmstead. And that it puts people in your situation and Michelle's kids' situation and a lot of people that are in the chat in situations where they will have to be institutionalized because of that. So my question then is, what is the plan to keep that from happening?
Well, I'm not like so familiar with the details of how people are responding to that particular thing. Like my gut reaction would be that we need to organize against it, and that because that's been the way we've been successful before. And maybe that kind of points to my larger worldview here is like, you know, I think the power is in the hands of the people. I think like major changes in American history for the better have been because people have organized, like regular people have organized. Like for example, there was the Capitol crawl, which was a bunch of disabled activists like descending on Washington and literally crawling up the stairs of the Capitol, and that's how the ADA got passed, which is an amazing piece of legislation, right? So some people say, "Oh, that's something that the politicians accomplished." I completely disagree. I think that is something the people, particularly disabled people, politically conscious disabled activists accomplished.
Sure.
Right. And so, I guess like I don't know if I'm like fully answering your question here.
Can you
or the
understand?
concern,
Can you
but-
understand why we're asking that question though, Ray? Because that's to me that's the piece that's not been solved for me from every conversation I've had with a communist. It's the how. We hear about. I mean, and I don't think any of us are really disagreeing that we want this kind of change. That we want wholesale changes to our system. Revolution, I hear that term a lot. I hear terms of general strike, but no one's been able to answer to me what happens in the meantime, how long it's going to take. Because I don't support anything that's going to put marginalized communities under more pressure. That's why I advocate for harm reduction. We live in a system where people are going to get harmed. I get that. There's got to be a willingness to say, okay, that's just too much. We can't go there. That's why, again, I advocate for harm reduction. I've yet to hear a solution, and I'm pressing you on this because it's important to me, and I appreciate your respect. Hopefully you feel respected on the panel as well. I don't see a solution because I hear people talk about the benevolent dictator theory. I've heard people who support communism to say, yes, we'll have this massive mutual aid network. And I'm like, well, how? Well, people will fund it. Well, who are those people? The people that support the movement. So the people that you're asking to not go to work for a general strike, they're going to have the money to prop up a mutual aid fund. Aren't they going to need the money? Do you see how it's confusing for lots of people? I want kids to eat. I don't want kids to starve. I want women's rights to protected. I want marginalized communities protected. That's the part that I've not been able to get an answer for. Does that make sense what I just said?
I think I'm maybe getting it maybe a little bit more. I mean, as far as the question about like the mutual aid side of things, it is just the case that some people make more money and have more in the reserves than other people do, right? So, of course, I think the way mutual aid works is almost like how people think of a sliding scale. Like you have more to give, then you give more. And if you have to receive more, then that's totally okay, right? And I think that's a good society where people who are able to give, people who need to receive. So like the specific answer for that. I think like aside from that though, I feel like there's a bigger concern here because I hear you asking how, and I think it's a fair question. And I think I feel like I'm answering it. So I think what I'm wondering is a little bit like, I'm wondering if maybe like what we're proposing as like Marxists or communists or, whatever it may be, maybe it sounds very uncertain. Like it makes the future sound very uncertain, and that's pretty scary. And I agree that's scary. I think it's like for me, I'm more scared of the present than I am scared of like an uncertain future at this point. It's like being in a burning building and looking down at the ground and choosing to jump anyway, because that feels safer than staying in the burning building, which will burn down. So I guess my answer is sort of like, I can't really give you, I know you said you're a policy wonk. And I think policy wonks, many of my friends are policy wonks. I think there's like a desire for like very concrete, like quantitative answers, but like I can't give that to you because we don't know the future. And I think at the end of the day, like for me, like I accept the fear of walking into that uncertain future because I just don't think this is sustainable what we have now.
Can I jump in for 1 second,
Please, and
Steve?
I want to
Sorry,
hear.
I need to.
I want to hear from Michelle too, because you both represent
And
communities.
I
Yeah.
really, I hope the chat and everybody hears me. I'm coming at this in I just need to understand something, right? In a lot of the things you say, I, me, this is what affects me, and that's how it's coming across. So if you're listening to two mothers telling you that right now, and you just said yourself, you're nervous of right now, we're talking about our children right now being on the edge of institutionalizing them because they can't receive their services at home. Are you willing to say, you know what, right now is the problem? Right now is what we need to do in protecting our marginalized communities and making sure they have the funding, they have the means, instead of setting them up for losing those and potentially become institutionalizing. Because what I hear is, I'm willing to let time go by and I'm willing to let it hurt because of the bigger picture at the end of all of this. Well, in the meantime, that's going to hurt my children. In the meantime, that's going to hurt Michelle's children. So I'm trying to understand and gauge, is this a you thing or is this a community thing?
I mean, it's definitely a community thing. I would say the reason I say I is because I don't presume to speak for anyone else. And certainly I don't presume to speak for the children of anyone else. I mean, I feel that you've mischaracterized a little bit of what I've said. I'm not saying I want to let it hurt now because the future will be better. I'm saying that it does hurt now, regardless of what choice I make. And so I think what needs to happen is significant change. Now, it sounds like there's skepticism about that here. I understand I don't have the experience of a parent of a child. Of course, that's different. But I will say I am disabled. I also fear being institutionalized. So that's a real, that's a real pain for me in the present as well.
Right. So I think if we collectively, that's what I was trying to get from you. If we're collectively all feeling the same fear, if we know that the issue is the current situation, the current administration, we are seeing the defunding, the cutting of programs, that all this stuff that's happening, right, that Jen brought up, which is so, so important, that they are willing to change the trajectory of this country and how it functions. If we sit back and say, yes, in the desire to have a revolution that would burn it all down and we could somehow, hit them in their pockets by everybody striking in this country, it would be wonderful to say that that's possible and everyone keeps their job and keeps their home and keeps food on the table and does all that. I live in a red state. There's no fucking way anyone in my state is ever going to have enough of these specialty groups that are starting to put together funding. We can barely make ends meet now to help the marginalized communities. So I guess the thing for me is I'm hearing this, yes, we need to have this revolution. We're trying to survive right now. And so if you realize that we're trying to survive right now, shouldn't we all be collectively working together to figure that out for right now?
Okay, so I have two things to say. One is I just want to clarify that when I say, like I was saying earlier, the revolution is the name of the transition. And the reason I say that is because I think the act of survival is the act of revolution in a lot of cases. So the ends and the means have to align with one another in that regard. And I can say more about that if you want to hear more about it. But I think that a lot of the times what we have to do for survival is exactly the thing that we empower to create the better world that we're looking for in the future. So that's number one. I can say more if you want to hear more. The other thing I would say is, like, yes, the current administration is bad. Obviously, I agree with that. My concern is that the alternative that we are given in the two-party system is the Democrats. And while the Democrats are going to be slightly less bad than Republicans in a lot of ways, I don't really trust them to secure a good future for all of us as a collective. You've mentioned, you've emphasized the collective, and that is also what's on my mind, right? Like, I don't trust them to get us to where we need to go in the future. So I think it's very unhealthy for marginalized people, and I would consider myself a marginalized person, to put our faith in, like an external group of people who, like, I don't really trust to have our best interests at heart at the end of the day. I think, like, they can do some individual good things. I'm not denying that, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and put my faith in them. And that's why I emphasize power is in the hands of the people, of all of us as a collective.
But aren't you
But
putting?
they do
aren't
work
you-
to protect social programs, right? You got to remember that.
Yeah, but aren't you putting your faith in a mutual aid network though, right?
Okay, so let me try to answer both of those. So, sorry, I want to try to make sure I answer both of what you said. So the thing about, yeah, do Democrats protect social programs? They sometimes do and they sometimes don't. Okay, so that's my concern. Is, like, for example, I worry. I'm 28, so I worry about, like, Social Security disappearing by the time I hit retirement age, and that a lot of my friends will hit retirement age. I don't know. Will they protect it? I don't know, because they make so many concessions that, when the can gets kicked down that long, I don't know what'll happen to it. So it kind of depends. And I understand the impulse to be like, well, but it's such a precarious situation now, we have to trust them. But I also, I think when you look at their track record, they let a lot of things go by the wayside too, so it's like, the way I think of it is like, okay, every 4 years you get, like, a new president, and then every 4 years, every 2 to 6 years, depending on the midterm situation, you get, like, new people in Congress. And it's like, if the Republicans keep moving right, because they are moving far right, they're crazy right now. I think we can all agree on that. But the thing is like, I don't see the Democrats as having much of a spine, and so they end up kind of moving right with them, in the sense that they keep making concessions to them. So, like, if the Republicans move far right, crazy every 4 years, and the Democrats kind of just, like, keep making concessions to them, you end up pulling them closer to the center, and then maybe even, to the center right at a certain point.
Okay.
That's what I worry about in the long term.
Okay, so I want to go back to the question that I asked you, and I have a follow up. You said you don't want to, you can't rely on the Democrats, and nobody's talking about that. I look at the Democratic Party as public transportation. They get me 3/4 of the way where I want to go. I'm willing to walk the rest of the way myself. But you said you don't want to be dependent on them. But aren't you then dependent on it, based in your world as you described it to us? Aren't you then dependent on a network of mutual aid?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so
and I
then-
think it's a great point.
Okay,
because I want.
Well,
Mhm.
but
Sorry.
that dependency, because
Yeah.
you're expecting people with means, like, as we know in our system, the hoarding of the wealth at the top. You expect that to change?
Okay, so sorry, can you say a little more? I feel like I didn't understand the
Sure.
question.
There's 900 billionaires in our country right now and 1 trillionaire. They have accumulated like $8 trillion in combined wealth. So for this model that you were describing, right? Is the expectation that those people would be contributing to the mutual aid?
Okay, so you're saying, like,
I'm asking.
in the
I'm not
in the
saying,
long
I'm,
term.
I'm not saying. I'm just asking. I'm just asking. Like, how? Because what I'm struggling to understand. What I'm struggling to understand. Are you familiar with the benevolent dictator theory?
I'm not familiar with the phrase, but maybe if you explain it to me,
Okay,
I'll understand it.
Because I've had people who have a similar belief set that the benevolent dictators will just take care of everybody. They have enough
Okay.
money that they will fund mutual aid. They will fund food banks. They will fund community
Okay.
service programs. Do you believe that?
Okay, right. Okay, I see. No, that's not my
Okay.
viewpoint.
Okay. So then
Um,
how do we fund it? And then I have a follow
okay.
my follow-up question.
So,
My follow-up question is, are
uh,
you planning on voting in November?
okay. All right, let me try to keep both of these in my head.
Okay.
When I get a lot of questions, I get a little mixed up
That's fine.
sometimes.
I'll remember it. It's all good.
Okay, so let me explain first why I don't agree with what the benevolent dictator like viewpoint. That's not my view. So I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this, but basically, I I believe in grassroots work. And I think like change has to come from the bottom up. So I don't believe in like, I guess, looking at the people at the highest rungs of society and expecting them to take care of us because that is a form of charity. And I think we have to move beyond charity and get more to what I think of as horizontal relationships of reciprocity. So it's like instead of thinking, okay, you're above me and I'm below you, because and you're above me because you have more money, you have more means, whatever. It's that we all are in relationship to one another. And the reason I liked earlier when you were saying that, okay, we're not dependent on the Democrats, but then we're dependent on the mutual aid system. And I actually do agree with that. I don't think dependence is like inherently bad. I think all human beings are dependent to some degree. I think we're dependent on our family, friends, community, et cetera, especially if you were a child. I understand there's mothers on this panel. Children are highly dependent on mothers, family, community, et cetera, because they're so vulnerable. They don't like have the tools like adults have yet. But adults are they're not the same, but we're also dependent. And I think that like in my ideal political world, what happens is we all recognize that we're dependent. And so we are like, we don't see that as a problem. We work together to solve the issues of dependency together, if that makes sense. So
It doesn't.
I don't
It
see
doesn't make sense though. That's where I'm
it doesn't.
confused. No, it doesn't
Okay.
because it. Let's boil it down. People have to eat, correct?
Mm-hmm.
People need shelter, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
People need access to clean water, et cetera, et cetera. All the
Yeah,
all the,
absolutely.
So then,
Yeah.
so that requires in your that again, I'm making an assumption here, but I'm asking the question: does that require this network of mutual aid that you support?
I guess, well, okay, well, if I understood you correctly, I mean, I think we need more than mutual aid to solve problems like clean air and water,
But didn't you
for
say? But
sure.
didn't you say that people feeding and access to water didn't you say that was going to come from mutual aid? So this is where I'm confused. Because if you believe tearing down the structure, general strike, while people are not working for however long, months, years potentially, you said the solution to that would be a mutual aid network. So that mutual aid has to provide shelter, food, access to water, health care.
Okay, I think I see what you're saying a little more.
Okay.
So okay, so yeah, I get confused because sometimes I think we're talking about the situation of the general strike versus like what we're talking about in the long term. And I was just saying like in the long term, we definitely need like governmental structures to manage like issues like environmental racism, so everyone has access to clean air, drinking water, soil, and so on. But as far as the mutual aid thing goes, I mean, it's kind of what I already said, and maybe you can tell me why this is not satisfactory to you. But you eat an elephant in bites. I think over time you kind of build up the muscles for people to get involved in these things. It's hard at first, but you do it at the local level and you grow it.
It doesn't solve the problem, Ray, because we are already our country is struggling right now. Again, I'm here to challenge you, not out of hope. Again, I hope you feel like you've been respected here. We're trying to do that, but this is the same frustration that I get from every conversation I've had with people who believe in your political solutions. Most people that I've spoken to are under 30. The majority of people I've spoken to are not married, and the overwhelming majority of them don't have kids. Everybody on this panel at one point has either been married, has kids, or a little bit older. So we look at things a bit more practically. Like every day I wake up, I have to make sure that there's food on the table for my children. I can't rely on somebody else to do that. I have to be able to rely on myself or the systems that are in place. Now, what I'm trying to understand is in this transitionary period, in this transition, that because it will be a transition, no doubt about it. We can say that revolution started. I don't necessarily agree from everybody that I've spoken to on the communist side of the revolution that we're discussing has started, but we've got to be able to feed kids. We have to be able to feed them. So if families are working 2 or 3 jobs at a time now to make ends meet, let's boil this down to personal. There's a family of 4. Dad works 3 jobs. Mom stays at home so that they don't have to worry about daycare. He works 3 jobs. He brings in $40,000 a year. Are you asking him in your system to not go to work?
Okay, so I think what I'm struggling a little bit with here is like I'm not asking the hypothetical man in your situation not to go to work today, right? Like I don't think people should general strike today. I don't think they should strike tomorrow. I don't think they should strike in 4 months. I don't think we have the infrastructure built up for that. I think people do what they need to do. I think the person in your scenario needs to decide for himself if this is something, if there's local infrastructure in place for him and his family and his children to be secure if he were to go on strike.
And if there's not,
well, if there's not, then something's failed somewhere. You know what I mean?
But isn't that the point? Because what you're talking about is dependency on these local networks that become community networks, that become statewide networks, that eventually become a federal network. That's what we're talking about. Like, how long is that going to take? Because that hypothetical dad who's working 3 jobs to feed his kids, you are asking him to take a massive leap to say, okay, I'm not going to go to work. I'm going to lose my job. I've got 3 months. I've got 3 weeks or a month's savings. That's it. I hope that mutual aid network survives, or what happens to that family, Ray?
Well, again, I mean, I think I just don't know why in this hypothetical, this is like genuine. Like, I don't know why I'm not asking anyone to do anything, I guess, in that regard. Like, I believe in people's autonomy. So
I think you're missing the point, Ray. He's trying to get you to understand that if people are struggling already, if people are struggling right now, and you're saying this is years and years in the making, by the time you get years and years into the making, we're going to be struggling even more. So if we're already struggling now, let's say in this scenario, for instance, we'll bring my children into it. I have 2 disabled kids. I told you how much their stuff costs. Then you've got the medications. My son has epilepsy. We have what's happening right now where our medications have skyrocketed. If that happens again the next year and again the next year, and you're telling me in a couple years, once everything comes together, supposedly we're being told, yes, there's going to be enough mutual aid, just don't show up for work. Husband loses his job. We have no means, no Medicaid. We can't get our son the medication he needs to stay alive, but we're supposed to be holding on for this dream, this fantasy that it may work. I mean, I think you're just unfortunately.
I feel like I'm getting it a little bit more. And you call this a dream and a fantasy, and I respect your opinion. I guess what I would have to say is I think right now is a nightmare, and it's going to get worse. It will get worse. I'm sorry to say it, but all the things you just described, I think they will get worse. Maybe you disagree with that. That's okay. But I think they'll get worse. And I think they'll get worse in the long run, regardless of if Republicans or Democrats are in office. That is my perspective in the long run. Now, will there be moments of respite if the Democrats are in office? Maybe 2 years, some of these programs are better funded? Yes, of course. But in the long run, they won't be. So to me, it's like, I'm not asking people to jump into.
That is your opinion. That's your
yeah,
opinion.
it's my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah. And I imagine maybe
So
some
okay,
of you
so
don't
if
agree with
you're
that.
so worried about it now, then why don't you see the movement of grassroots? You talked about grassroots. So if you want to help with what's going on now, let's put some grassroots candidates with progressive policies into these places. Get the people out who you feel aren't, in your opinion, doing exactly what you think the party should be doing. But it sounds like you're just not even interested in the movements that are happening, and that are, I think we missed this whole, are you going to vote? Do you want to vote? Do you think voting matters at the end of the day?
I just don't know why you're saying I don't care about these movements, because I think we have different definitions of what's grassroots. I don't think voting for candidates is grassroots exactly.
Grassroots candidates, right, is what I'm talking about. People who are grassroots, who are looking to fill positions, that want to work for the people, put progressive policies forward for the people, protect social programs, talk about universal health care, talk about means that we can protect our education, all of those things. If we can implement those things now, then all this doom and gloom you're talking about in the future, we may not have to deal with. You're saying no matter what, it's going to get bad, going to get bad. Well, listen, I don't want to watch my children unalive while I'm waiting for it to get worse. I would like to see if we can try to jump in and save some part of the structure now and then change it and make it better, in my opinion.
Can I get Michelle to jump
Well,
in as well?
I
Ray, hang on one second if I could ask, because Michelle, I'm not sure if you had anything you wanted. That's okay, no problem. I'm not sure if you had anything you wanted to offer, because again, you have a unique perspective on this.
Yeah, actually, I have quite a few questions, but I'm giving her the courtesy of listening. But Ray, do you vote?
I have voted. Yes, I've actually used to be. I used to work in DC. Actually, I don't anymore.
Okay. So are you college educated?
I am.
Okay. So you have and you live independently?
I'm married. I live with my husband.
Okay. So meaning you don't have a parent taking care of you.
No. Like, am I living with my parent? No.
Okay. So I think it's safe to say that from my perspective, having two adult special needs children, one physically disabled, you are coming from a very privileged place of speaking for the disabled community, and I'm gonna be blunt. I don't appreciate your privileged viewpoint because you don't have children. You don't have disabled children who depend on the medications and the therapies and the feeding tubes and the hospitalizations that mine and Missy's children do depend on a regular basis. And I'm a single parent. I've been doing this alone for 18 years. I don't have somebody to fall back on. I have the systems that are in place now. And although I can agree with you that they are shitty, they are better than what the Republicans are currently trying to do. So while your viewpoint does sound like a fantasy to us, to my situation, it sounds wonderful in the long run, maybe 50, 100, 150 years down the line, but that's not something that we're going to accomplish right now. And we're certainly not going to accomplish that by not voting, let alone voting for Republicans. So voting blue down ballot right now is the only way to ensure that my children get to stay in my home for at least another 4 years, that they don't get taken from me and institutionalized because of this current administration's policies.
So, first of all, I don't really. Let me just say, I don't think it's very helpful to throw around accusations of privilege like that. You don't really know my situation. I will tell you that if I did not have some of these government services that are available to disabled people, I would die. So I don't really think that's fair to say. I would literally die. Scary, but true. So I don't think that's very appropriate for you to make those assumptions about
Well,
me.
I'm being realistic here because me
But you're
being a
not
white,
but you're not
being a
being
white woman in
realistic.
America, I can say I am privileged. Steve being a white man in America, he has the right to say he is privileged because this country does not stand up for the marginalized communities. When I compare your situation for the disabled community to my children, both my adult children, you have more privilege in this world than my children do. I have nonverbal children. One is in a wheelchair with feeding tubes round the clock, with medications round the clock, and with nursing care sometimes. I have another child who will never get to go to college. He will never be able to drive a car. He will never be able to live independently or get married or have children, neither of my children. So you're married. You have that privilege that my children don't have. So in a sense, we all are privileged to some degree.
I think it's so my uncle in Korea who's passed now, he was also in a similar kind of situation where he had to live with my grandparents for his whole life, basically. He suffered a lot of issues related to his health, eventually was an alcoholic, as a lot of disabled people become because of the fact that society has left them behind. And at the end of the day, with him, it was family and community that allowed him to survive and thrive for as long as he did. He passed when he was maybe like 52 years old. And so I have a different perspective on what allows disabled people to survive and thrive in a world that is so ableist and colored by eugenicist ideology. South Korea also has a lot of problems in regards to, supporting disabled people, much like America does. But it was family that allowed him to survive. I respect that the people on this panel who are mothers are caring for their children. I know both of you, or maybe all of you, have disabled children. I get the feeling of, I don't understand it personally, but I respect that there's fear and anxiety about what will happen in the future. Like I said, it's my opinion that at the end of the day, the Democrats will leave us all to die, and the most marginalized of us will go first. Maybe you
It's
don't.
absolutely insanity. I'm sorry, Steve. I'm
Yeah,
I'm having a really hard time
I
as
am too.
and after
I am too.
literally zero empathy in understanding what Michelle just said to you. I fear, and I'm sorry. I know you want us to be respectful, but you're very tone deaf. You're very selfish.
Yeah.
You're not listening to what people are trying to say. And if you are generally scared for your life, for yourself, like how Michelle and I wake up every day probably panicked because we don't know what the next thing this administration is going to do in attacking our children. Are they going to come knocking at my door and say they're taking my kids because they're on a list? Are they going to tell Michelle, your kids can no longer receive their services, so we're throwing them in an institution? That's what we have to think about every day, Ray. We don't have time to plan a strike for the future or whatever. We've got to think about right now. And even though it doesn't seem like we're thinking about you, we're thinking about the whole community when we're thinking about how can we protect the community? What can we do in the meantime right now to secure safety? And I'm sick of this shit that the Democrats are going to let us die bullshit when they are the ones who at least are working to protect some of these things that we have and are working to help funding go in directions for some of these things. I'm sorry, I couldn't keep my mouth shut anymore.
No, it's
I'm
okay.
trying to be very respectful, but the tone deaf that is happening and then to like pivot the story into me, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I think the legitimate criticism, Ray, and I think it's reasonable. And I think you kind of need to hear it. Is that Michelle gave you her story, and then you made it about yourself and your family, and I think that's the frustration for me as well. Here, we're trying.
Can I just ask what would sorry, can I just
if I could just
I just wanted to know. Oh, okay.
no,
Yeah.
it's okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Jen. Go ahead.
No, you finish, Steve. You finish.
No, it's all good.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's fine. You put your hand up. Go ahead. It's all good. What do you got?
Well, I'm just confused because I guess okay, first of all, there was a lot of chatter in the chat. Yes, I said that about I mentioned Olmsted, and I think people are like, what's that? Okay, so let me just explain very quickly so people know. So in June of this year, Trump's DOJ issued a legal opinion claiming that the Americans with Disabilities Act, specifically Section 504, does not impose a general, quote, integration mandate that requires states to provide disability services in the most integrated appropriate setting, meaning in their homes. And so what that means is that states can now remove services in the home. And because a child, like, for example, what Michelle was saying and Missy were saying, is that they receive these services at home because of the ADA, then they can take that away. And unable to care for their children at home would require them to be institutionalized. And that is overthrowing Olmsted v. LC, which is a 1999 Supreme Court decision holding that unjustified institutional isolation of disabled people is discrimination. And because the DOJ wrote this opinion about Section 504, people that could be affected are people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, serious mental illness, physical disabilities requiring daily assistance, older adults, so on and so on. If those services are removed from them, that they get them in home, then they would be forced to be institutionalized where they get that care. And so, Ray, my question is that if this is a situation that you are in, my question is that you should be the first one to saying, and this is just my opinion, okay? My opinion is you should be the first one saying, I'm going to vote down ballot blue, because even if the Democrats are not great, they're definitely going to do less harm than something like this that will end you in an institution, right? Because I think, like, and I don't know how long you've listened to Steve, but Steve has always said that there's no such thing as a perfect candidate, ever. There's never going to be a candidate that you agree with 100% of the time. It's never going to happen. It doesn't exist, right? But what we know of right now is that never been we have not had a situation like this where so many people, including yourself, are in risk of being ripped from your home because the services you already get keep you at home, right? And so no matter what you disagree with the Democrats, and you probably have very valid arguments, there's nowhere near as harmful as what is happening right now on a daily basis. And that I lay my plane.
Yeah, and I want to introduce Niner in a second, Ray. And I guess that was the frustrating part for me, is that Michelle and both Missy kind of gave a personal story about them, and you chose not to address their personal situation, which is uniquely different than yours. We can agree. You do have a bit of a network, a safety network. The fact that you live with your husband. That courtesy has not been afforded to Missy and or Michelle. Not that they're asking for it, but they're the ones that are providing this care. They're the ones that see the issue. They're the ones that are the breadwinners in their family. So it was troubling to listen to that portion. And again, I'm just giving you feedback because this is what we're trying to do here. But I wanted to bring Niner because I wanted to bring Niner up because I think Niner wanted to jump on the Olmstead component. So thanks for waiting, Niner. I appreciate your patience. What's on your mind?
Yeah, thanks. I actually came up because this is going to be a blunt reality, and it's not going to be nice. But I see you guys talking to Ray, and I understand we all have our own situations. Me and Ray are disabled. Missy, you're the parent of disabled children.
As is Michelle. As is Michelle Niner.
The way they're talking to her.
Yeah, Michelle is too, sir. Michelle has 2 disabled adult children.
No, okay, so it's all of you. What I'm saying is, when you are not physically in our shoes every second of every day of our lives, this goes for any able-bodied person, you don't get to tell us, any of you, that we can't say, I, me. Do you know why? Because as a disabled person, we had to live every second of every day of our lives in a world that was never built for us. And when you said, Steve, I think practical for a family of 4, you totally ignored what Ray was saying as a disabled person because you are able-bodied. I understand you guys do good work, but you do not get to tell us that we are allowed to say me, I, because we had to. It's how we survive in a world that was never built for us, is not built for us, or will ever be built for us.
Niner, I think
that is ableist.
I think the conversation,
Niner,
I think the conversation was more about the structural change to our entire system and not just about your community. So I understand if I could finish just for a second, bro. If I could just finish, we were talking about. I'm not going to defend or contradict. What I'm stating here is that we're trying to move the needle for solutions. Now, we spoke to a person earlier who was a communist who didn't discuss their disabilities. Ray's been honest and transparent about hers. Missy and Michelle have also explained the situation that they're in. So I don't think anybody was attacking Ray. Ray can speak for herself if she feels attacked, but we're debating here. We're trying to move the needle. We're trying to solve problems for people. That's all we're doing. So Niner, I understand that you're emotional and you're absolutely entitled to that. You're absolutely entitled to that. But
Can I step in?
yeah, please do.
Okay, Niner, I'm the one with the 2 disabled adult children, of which I do have conservatorship because they are nonverbal. So if they cannot speak for themselves, who else but me? And I am their only parent. So when I say that I advocate for the disabled community, I wholeheartedly I am an advocate for your community. I am not putting Ray down. I said she is coming from a place of more privilege than my children. Absolutely. But that is not what we are not attacking your community. We are trying to get people to understand that we too are advocating for the safety and protection of your community, including our children, because you are right. We are not disabled, but our children are. And for me, my situation, my children cannot protect themselves. They cannot defend themselves. They cannot speak for themselves. I have to be their voice. I made that decision when I had them. I've been their only voice for 18 and 25 years. So I think I have a right to speak up and
Can I,
speak for my children.
sorry, I've been, 4 people have come at me. I feel like I have a right to respond at this point. Can I say something?
Sure.
Real quick before you go, Ray, because I real quick, sorry, I need to address Niner because we're all mutuals here. I need to make something very clear, Niner. I don't know when you jumped in and heard the conversation, but at no point, and all of us, at no point did anyone attack Ray for her being in the community, for her being disabled. We never downplayed or said anything in regards. She's never even said what her disability is, and she doesn't need to. And you know that we have respect and we are advocates for the disabled community. The conversation has us heated, Niner, because we are talking about the difference in how we want to help our communities and your community and everyone in the community now. We don't want to see anyone that is in the community become a target of this administration. And the back and forth with Ray was that she thinks that right now there's nothing that we can substantially do to help the community. That's maybe where you jumped in and heard the difference that was going back and forth. No one's downplaying anyone's disability. And I want to make that very, very clear. It's also, hold on a second, Niner. It's also not okay. I understand that I myself am not disabled and Michelle is not, but we go through a different aspect of the disability. That doesn't mean we lived it. We lived a different journey with it, and it can be just as difficult. Maybe not the same, but no one's downplaying anybody's part in the disabled community. And I think we all need to mutually respect that. And I think we have been doing that. That doesn't mean we don't have discourse and we don't disagree on certain topics, which is right now the debate on what can we do to protect the community. I want to make that very clear.
Thanks.
What I'm saying is when you tell a disabled woman who had just said something to do with her disability and why she is in the situation she is and the outlook she has, and Steve says, well, I look at it from a practical standpoint, that is ableist because you are ignoring
No, Niner, that's not what he said. Niner, you didn't hear it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sir, but you didn't hear it. He did not say from a practical standpoint, and I'm sorry to take over here, but this is really upsetting me. The conversation, Niner, is that we are working as a group, as a community to try to protect the community. And Steve was giving an example of a family when we're talking about a general strike. It had nothing to do with the way you just worded it. That's completely wrong. And I want to make sure to everyone that is listening, that is not what Steve said. It was not in that manner whatsoever. This had to do with a strike in parents who have disabled children or could potentially be disabled themselves, receiving services, receiving medications. Can they wait years and years and let things get worse, or should we fix the problem now?
Even with that still doesn't work because the fact is, no, the problem can't be fixed now. It's not going to be. So her view of seeing it down the future makes sense. Because the simple fact is, enough of Americans are never going to do anything that needs to be done to help any
I
market.
just want to jump in. I don't mean to interrupt, but I think the mindset that you're kind of using in this
Wait, can I?
dialogue is
Sorry,
the one that
I've just
is
been attacked by
harmful.
4 different people. So can I just say
Well, yeah, but I
something?
just want to
Can
clarify
I just say?
something.
Can I? I have been
Right.
waiting patiently for
I
10
know, I
minutes
know.
after
I
what?
just
4
want to
people have come
clarify
after
something
me.
really
So
Everybody,
can
quick.
I just
everybody
say?
stop, please. Everybody stop, please. Thank you. We'll give everybody an opportunity to speak. Ray, we've been on this conversation for a long time. Nobody attacked you. All we are doing is trying to unpack what your idea is for the future of our country. That's it. If you felt attacked, if I attacked you, I am very sorry. I don't think that's been anybody's attention. I don't think anybody's done that. I think people are just questioning certain things because every circumstance is different. And from my perspective, from listening, it seemed to me that you spoke for all of your community. And I don't think you addressed Michelle's concerns at all, which was frustrating to me. So if you want to respond to that, feel free.
Okay, so I'll say a couple of things. Since I have not spoken in the past 10 to 15 minutes, so none of you know what I think in relation to what you've just said yet. Okay. Okay, so a couple of things. I don't know where to start here. Number one, I think I don't, and please don't interrupt. I'm going to say what I think. One, I don't know why I was accused of being tone deaf. I thought you guys shared stories that illuminated your perspective. So I shared my story about how it illuminates my perspective. That's all I thought I was doing. I don't know if you wanted me to say, I'm sorry this is happening. I obviously respect your experience with this. I've said that already, so I don't know what else you wanted. Like you all have said, it is a debate. So I am giving my perspective. On what we should be doing politically. You don't agree with that, that's fine. But I don't appreciate being called tone deaf here in that regard. I don't understand that. Number two, I agree very much with what Niner has said here. And I will tell you, I'm going to say this as a disabled person, and I'm going to say this as a scholar of disability as well, because I am an academic who teaches on these issues. It is very common for family members of disabled people to speak over the voices of actual disabled people, okay? And so it is really important for when disabled people are able to give our opinions in public, which is not very common. The internet allows it in a way that has never been done before. It's important to listen. It is important to listen. And if you've noticed what I've said so far, I haven't attacked any of you. None of you personally. I haven't called you privileged. I haven't even said anything like you don't understand my experience. Frankly, I don't think you do understand my experience. And I think that's part of what's happening here and why you are getting so upset with me when I haven't said anything critical of any of you personally. Maybe you don't like what I have to say.
I disagree.
That's fine.
You were critical, though, Ray. You were critical. So that's the issue. So
not of you as a person, though.
They weren't being critical of you as a person. They were talking about some of your opinions because some of the opinions.
No, Steve,
Ray?
you were critical of me as a person. You were critical, not them. You, because
how was I critical of you?
You said I was.
How was I critical?
You said I was tone deaf, and you said I was tone deaf.
I didn't say that.
No, you did.
I did because I think you are. And you know what? So what? I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings. I'm sorry if you're maybe getting some criticism that you don't want to hear in this conversation. Again, Michelle and I are coming from a place of we're worried. If you are worried, like we're worried, then let's talk about how do we constructively come together. Hold on, Ray. Ray, this is what I'm talking
All right,
about.
listen,
Michelle
listen.
literally
Hey,
said
thank
she
you for
speaks
having.
for her children, and then
No,
you said you
cannot
people
speak for
don't
other
understand.
people.
I cannot sit here
But you
and
spoke
listen
for
to
other
you
people,
say to a
Ray.
mother who says she keeps her children fucking alive that she doesn't understand. I'm sorry. Just because you think it's not okay for a mother to speak for her child when you're not a mother, you do not understand. There are two different journeys we are talking about here, but we are talking about the same community. And the fact that the conversation isn't right now, how do we keep our children alive and how do we keep our older people in our community safe so they don't lose their services? And we're sitting here going, you're not listening to me, you don't understand. This is bullshit.
I'm not going to sit here and let you say to another parent that she doesn't understand because she's taken the voice of her children. She is the voice of her children. And I cannot stand to listen to this anymore because I feel like you are missing the biggest picture of all of this. And that's understanding you are not the only one in this.
Thank you.
I think I want to add to that too. I'm a special education teacher. I dedicated my life to this. I have ADHD, I have anxiety, I have more emotional disabilities that aren't as far-fetched as many of the stories we've heard. But Ray, the one thing I need you to recognize is that no one is attacking you. You keep saying attacking and that
Oh, I
it's
didn't say
personal.
attacking. I didn't say that. I did not say any of that.
You did. You
You're
said you felt
did.
attacked.
no,
You
I didn't.
absolutely did.
You did, Ray. That's the point. You did say you felt attacked.
And I think
No,
what's important here.
you guys said that, and then I responded to you guys saying that.
No, dude, like
listen,
you literally said
Ray,
5
you
times that
literally
we
said
attacked
4
you.
people
Come
are
on.
being attacked or attacking me on this panel. That is what you said. So I'm saying something. So I understand that you live as someone with a
okay.
disability.
No, it's fine. Okay, listen.
I'm
I
not
just
done
want to.
talking.
Okay, I don't care. Thank you for having me on, Steve. I do appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation. I think parts of it were productive. I am going to leave now as a disabled person. This is very frustrating for me. I feel like I said my piece. If people don't like that, that's okay. I can live with it.
Can I just say
But,
something before you leave?
I don't think so, man.
Cool, I hope you vote.
Okay, so all I was going to say is, as a special education teacher, I am a very different part of the community, but I've dedicated my life to speaking for the community and those that need advocacy and those that just need people. If with everything that's going on, I rely on the parents, and it's hard to say because my job is to help the parents. But without the parents and my students themselves, I wouldn't know what I'm doing. I got my degrees, but that doesn't mean I know everything. You have to learn from one another, and when you start isolating people from being the person with the disability, to being the parent of the person or the children with disabilities, and to being an educator or an advocate for those with disabilities, it's still the same community. But not being able to hear out what people are doing, like Michelle, she did not take away her children's voice. She made it clear that she is, and that is the most difficult thing someone can do. Missy wakes up every day and has to go through a whole agenda of making sure that her kids are okay. Niner, you live this life. You have learned yourself how to live this life with what you have. I am a teacher. I learn from all of you. But the problem is when we start talking about how yes, everyone's situation is different, but this community is so important and so ignored that if you start isolating who's dealing with what worse and in what way, that's where more division comes from, and that's how we start losing the focus of building this community in ways that are so possible but take being a community. And Missy, I'm so grateful for you as a parent. Michelle, words can't describe what you go through every day, but how amazing it is and how proud you sound as a mom. Niner, you came up here and you said your things, and yeah, it might have, but you still did that. And I think everyone has something to be proud of within this community. But at the end of the day, it needs to be a community.
I'd like to address a couple things. If I real quick, Niner. I'd like to.
I'm done. That's all I wanted to say. But
okay.
lots of love.
It's okay.
I'm gonna
okay.
drop down.
Thank you, friend.
No, don't drop. Stay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Please stay for a second. I just.
I just wanted to point out that regardless of your disability, regardless of the severity of it, no disabled person can be more privileged than another disabled person. We may adapt differently, but we cannot be more privileged because we all rely on something else to keep us alive. that for any disabled person is never a privilege, ever. And to say that Ray was privileged, that was ableist. You can't deny it.
No, I'm not going to listen to this, Niner. Stop. You have to stop doing this. You're attacking a mother. No, you're attacking a mother. I'm not going to do it. I don't care. That's fine. You can be upset with me all you want. This is not constructive, Niner. This is tearing people apart. No, it's not okay because you didn't hear the whole conversation, Niner. I'm sorry.
So
no one's ableist by saying something like that. She's trying to get, and Niner, if you're listening, she was trying to get Ray to understand she speaks for her children, whereas Ray speaks for herself. She was trying to get her to understand that she lives on her own. She doesn't have someone feeding her. She doesn't have someone doing the things that Michelle is doing to keep her children alive. That is what she was indicating. And she had every right, and she was completely on point with those things.
And if I can add to that, it was more about how we get to this dystopian future that Ray was talking about when we are living in the situation that we are living in now. We have to be realists when it comes to our children, because we can't hope that in 50 or 100 years, somewhere down the line, someone is going to make enough change in this revolution that is going to affect somebody else. But we have to think about our children now, and the ones that are struggling now, and the entire community now, and what's least harmful.
I'd like
Sorry,
to.
Steve.
It's okay. I just want to address.
Yeah,
address
let's
something.
let Steve talk real quick.
It's all,
Wait,
it's all,
sorry,
it's all
Steve.
good. Don't apologize. I just want to address something. Listen, if I saw a lot of people in the comments saying that they've lost respect for me because this panel, that's fine. I'm like, that's fine. I guess the question I would ask, why? Because we're having difficult conversations. Because we are challenging people's belief set. Because we are trying to address a system that already harms marginalized communities, and we're trying to make things better. You can disagree. That's fine. That's fine. I don't care. I would much rather have 1,000 conversations like this, because we're all trying to move our society forward, not backward. If you want to unfollow me, I don't care. I really don't. We were challenging Ray because Ray's perspective was one that she had. Like everybody else that we speak to every single day. I challenge status quo Democrats. I challenge libertarians. I challenge non-voters. I challenge communists. How can we ever consider moving our society in any direction if we're unwilling to have difficult conversations? Sign me the fuck up for them all day long. All day long. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, good. If you feel challenged and perhaps threatened, good. That's how you move the fucking needle. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead, Watts.
I also just want to clarify the word privilege. Yes, it's a heavy loaded word, but just like any way that word is used or any words are used, there's a level to it. As someone that was listening at first, there was a privileged take on the responses being spoken from that guest. And I think what's so important is the privilege in that was kind of apparent in itself. The world of special education is so big. And when I first went into this, I didn't realize how big this world was. And it's so big. There are so many different categories of having a disability. You can have 2 eligibilities when it comes to education. The world is so big. The community is so big. And at the end of the day, it starts with the people that have the disabilities and those that are in their family. Everyone else we can all help the community, but at the end of the day, like Steve said, these conversations are hard. There are going to be times where you say the wrong thing or you use the wrong term, and as long as it's not out of malice or malintent, that's how we grow. When we talk about things and we say things wrong, we make mistakes, you get called out. It's so important to have these conversations, because if we don't, then what?
Missy and Michelle, I just wanted to check in with both of you. How are you both doing?
I have mixed feelings right now. I'm not gonna lie. Talking with Ray, although I completely support everything that she was saying, and I want the same things to some degree. Just the direction in which she is trying to achieve it is just not feasible right now for people like me and children like mine. It's a dream, it's a fantasy, and although I would love nothing more than world peace and a beautiful place, beautiful dystopian for our children, or for our children to be able to walk, to talk, to feed themselves, to go to college, to get married, to have children. That's not my reality. It's never gonna be my reality. I will never be a grandparent. I will never walk my child down the aisle. I will never send them off to college. I'm sorry, but
No apologies.
I don't have a choice. I severed ties with a majority of my family because of their red pill MAGA voting. Because I have to protect my children. Because voting Democrat right now is the only way that I can protect my children and to keep them together and to keep them in my home and to keep speaking for them and advocating for them the way that I have done for 25 fucking years. And for somebody to come on and attack me because she didn't understand my situation and she could never because she wasn't a parent. Now, I am not attacking the disability community. I'm not attacking her for having a disability, but she did come from a place of privilege with her having somebody to help speak for her and care for her. She didn't have children. She doesn't have to wake up and worry about the things that I have to wake up every day and worry about. You know, when COVID hit, let me give an example. When COVID hit, there was a shortage on formula. My son is nothing by mouth. He's NPO. He has a special formula, and I couldn't get that. And his Medicaid couldn't get that. And I had to pay out of pocket $130 for one case of formula that fed him for 2 days. One case. I had to pay out of pocket for that. Nobody understands the magnitude I am willing to go for my children, and I refuse to be attacked for it, for being his voice and speaking out for them. I want a perfect world. I want community. I want us to all be together. I don't want the division. I wish there was an easier way that we could get to that dystopian, but right now, down ballot blue is the only way that we can get there right now. Right now. We have to think about right now. I don't even know what else to say at the moment. I'm sorry.
You're good. Love you, friend.
Michelle, I want to say something from my end. You are a dream. You are magic. You are doing it. And I think you speaking and your love and all that you, sorry, now I'm getting, but you're beautiful. You're doing what you can as a mother with what you have. The biggest thing I've learned is we're doing the best with what we know, and we're doing what we know with what we have. And I think you're the way that you speak is beautiful. Missy, I've heard you speak. I've heard you stand up for just what you believe in. And as a teacher, I'm always open if you ever want in ways that I can help more and do more, because I've had the privilege to work with students who resemble your stories. And at the end of the day, it's the parents. And I want you to know that there's so many people here that hear you. And I for one hear you. And I'm gonna ramble, but you truly are magic, both of you. Anyone that's a parent, all those that have disabilities, you are magic. We just need to be a community, and a community that wants to work together and understand that there are moving parts to a community.
Missy, how you doing?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really like
you know me, like this subject is really tough. And like I don't, and I can say this with my full chest. I have privilege because my children are verbal. So I can say to Michelle, like they have that privilege. Do I have a son that has other things that make life very, very difficult? Absolutely. It's not a contest. It's not a who is got this bigger disability than the other person. And I just need everyone to understand that when Michelle is speaking, that she does all of this and she speaks for her child. I want everybody to think if they weren't able to communicate what they needed to survive and they had to depend on that person, you would want a person like Michelle. You would want someone that is going to say, I have done this for 18 years and I have done everything and put my blood, sweat, tears, life, probably relationships, probably jobs, probably social, everything. I get it. And I think we need to understand that just because someone specifically doesn't have a disability, it doesn't make them less of someone who is going through a disabled journey. Yes, those are two different things, but it's really important. I'm very upset to hear the community infighting and arguing. I adore Niner, and I think he came from a very worked up space of hearing different words being thrown out without the right context. I really don't appreciate the ableism being thrown out in the way it was being thrown out, especially at a special needs mother. Although a lot of people are saying, get back to politics, get back to politics. The whole point of this conversation to everyone who is listening was that we were sitting here talking to someone who thinks we need to just burn it all down, somehow have these big money pots somewhere, and we're just all going to strike and stay home, and we're going to fix this mess we're in. And like Michelle said, it isn't going to happen. If it does in the future, great. It won't be in my lifetime. It may not even be in my kid's lifetime, because I don't even know if we'll make it there. So right now, you got to vote. You got to use your voice. You can't come in here saying and complaining that you're not happy about how things are going and you don't want to put in the work that needs to be done to try to fix it right now so we can save the people that we have right now. That's my biggest thing. It is about politics. So whoever is saying, let's get back to politics, if you don't realize what is happening right now and that everything is political, that's the bigger problem.
Real quick before I
Thank you,
drop
Missy.
off of that, there's one thing that I don't know if anyone remembers this, but it was Walt's daughter. She made a post, and I think it was really eye-opening, and she said that running is political. And running is running. People run in PE class, people run to relieve stress, but she said running is political. It really is everything in this world right now that is political. And I think Missy nailed it on the head. I'm going to drop down. I have to go to work tomorrow.
Thank you. Appreciate
But
being here.
thank you for having me up here.
Got it.
But this is political.
Thank you. What? Appreciate you. Talk soon.
Thank you.
So we many times when conversations are like this, and like I said, I'm sorry the impact that it had on Missy, on Michelle, on Niner, on Ray. I got you, Jen. I would rather have, like I said, 1 million of these conversations because it's what's necessary. Right. So, like I said, I don't, if somebody wants to say, unfollow me or say whatever, I don't care. What I care about is I care about Michelle and what she does and how she represents her kid. And I care about Missy and what she does and how she represents her kids. And I know Jen's a mother of a military, of a service member, and women's rights are being attacked every single day. And women are bleeding out in parking lots and in hospital rooms and in waiting rooms and in lobbies and everywhere else they are. That's what's important. Now, I've engaged with libertarians, I've engaged with communists, I've engaged with DSAs, I've engaged with leftists and MAGA Republicans. We've all talked to everybody. I don't know who's got some background noise. We've all talked to everybody. The issue here is we've got to be willing to be uncomfortable in these conversations. And if you're on the receiving end of that discomfort, you need to understand why. We tried to unpack from our first communist guest, that person was unwilling to engage. They were argumentative, they were confrontational, they did not want to answer questions. Instead, they tried to pivot away. Ray was willing to engage. We were unpacking, trying to find out what the solutions were. None of us heard any. I kept looking for them. Looking for them. Then it got personal because we speak in personal terms based on our life experiences. I did notice a privilege. It wasn't that her life is easy, of course not. But there was a privilege, and Michelle called it out. And maybe Ray had never heard that before. Maybe she'd never thought that anyone could ever call her privileged, being a disabled person. I don't know. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to call balls and strikes. That's it. Welcome back up, Jen.
Hey, so I dropped down because I thought the panel was a little too thick. That's our word today. And so I thinned it out. But sorry, had to too soon. All right. Anyways,
calling HR. Calling HR.
Michelle. Anyways, I just wanted to say something that I am very privileged to have had a healthy son, and I think a lot of times, like I take for granted that because it's just not something that I put in the forefront. And when I see Michelle, because we work closely behind the scenes, I just am in awe of people like Missy and Michelle who have this drive and they don't complain and they just do it. It's just done. They do it. And it's just like so awesome to watch these two strong, powerful women doing what needs to be done for their children and fighting for them. And, at times I really have to check myself and what I'm complaining about in my life, because I'm telling you, I don't compare to Michelle and Missy and what they do in their daily lives with their own children and how much they could complain. And I've never heard Michelle complain. Well, about Steve, she does, but not about the things
doesn't?
that, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, she's HR, right? But anyways, what I'm saying is that I feel like I don't feel like anything we did was attacking at all. And I think that that Michelle made a point and that hurt. And I think sometimes looking in the mirror hurts. And I'm sorry if that happened to her, but that's just the reality. And I just want to say to you, very strong, powerful women, that I am in awe of you, especially you, Michelle. I watch you. I know what you do with your boys and how you are the beacon for them. And I just think you're just an amazing woman. And I just love you so much.
Thank you.
Agreed.
From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you guys. And I joined this community because of the open arms and the welcomeness that I received from your community and for my situation. And I told you, I'm your ride or die. I will go to the ends to make this message come to life and to make a difference in this world, because for my children's futures, we need to. For all children's futures, we need to. This is where we need to come together, and exactly what's the word said. If you're not offended, then you're not listening.
Kinda. Yeah. I want to give you guys last words. Michelle, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I love you guys so much. I appreciate this community more than anyone could ever imagine. You guys give me hope that the fight that we are in is going to come out better on the other side than what we're dealing with right now. And that's all I can hope for, is that hope every day that my children will be safe.
I
That our
appreciate
children will be safe.
I appreciate you. I love you. I'm going to drop you down, okay?
Okay. Love
Okay.
you. Thank you guys.
All right,
Thank you,
bye.
Missy.
Missy, any last words?
Oh gosh. I think I've said quite a bit.
I want to make this abundantly clear because there's a lot of losers in the chat who want to attack Michelle and myself for our words. My kids are privileged, and I will say that they are verbal. That doesn't mean that their disabilities are downplayed. That doesn't mean that we don't have it difficult. That doesn't mean any of those things. There can be privilege within it, and that doesn't make anybody enable us to say that. And I think we need to stop saying that, stop saying these harsh words within the community. It doesn't help anything. The bigger picture here, again, to everyone that's listening, is that the community is under attack. When we are talking about possibly reinstitutionalizing disabled people in the year 2026, we're not angry enough. We're not understanding that the fight is here and now. It's not a few years out. It's not coming together and figuring out a revolution. It's how do we survive right now? And when you hear mothers like Michelle and I speak, it's because every day we wake up, we think, how do we protect our children that much more? It's not downplaying anybody who has children and knows they have to protect their children as well. It's a different fight that we have to feel and that we are preparing for every single day. So please understand that's where our passion comes from. I never ever meant to attack Ray specifically, but I also I'm not going to allow someone to make a mother feel less than just because she herself isn't disabled. That's the wrong conversation to be having in the community. So I'll leave with that. Steve, thank you so much for having me. More importantly, fuck Donald Trump and definitely fuck the patriarchy. So
I love you, friend. Talk to you
don't
later.
forget that.
Be safe.
Bye.
Jen, final words?
I would just like to thank you. I'd like to thank you for hosting this very difficult conversation and being open to allowing people to say what they need to say. And sometimes it's hard to hear. Sometimes it's hard to listen. And I just think you do such an incredible job allowing people their space and to speak and honoring people that deserve to be honored for what they're doing. And I just want you to know that that's why so many people are doing what they're doing for you behind the scenes, because we believe in you and we care about you and we care about the message that you carry. So never forget that you are the core of this and that we believe in you. And tonight was an example. We started off talking about nonsense and ended with a massive conversation that it was huge. These are the things that people want to hear. And I just really appreciate you very much.
Feelings mutual. Thank you, friend. I'll love you. Be safe, okay?
Love you. All right.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Thank you, mods, for sticking in. Thank you, everybody. Like I said before, difficult conversations need to happen. I don't think we have enough of them. This is getting dirty. This is rolling up the sleeves. This is getting bloody because these conversations have to happen. We're trying. I feel like, we're at this precipice, right, where everybody really sees, perhaps, maybe again, silver lining. You guys know me, silver lining. I'll find it in anything. That maybe people see how bad things are in the system that we've been living in for a very long time. I guess it's my desire for people to understand that and understand that there is harm that's being done every single day to marginalized communities. And although I respect people's views, especially the people who align with communism or whatever it might be, I am just asking you to give us a plan, because revolution is not a plan. Revolution is a response to something. The general strike is not a plan, because if there's no organization, if you thought out what happens, that's why I gave the scenario of a family of four. Dad works, mom stays at home because they can't afford childcare. Dad works 3 jobs. Are you asking dad to go out in a general strike and risk everything in hopes that there's this big mountain of mutual aid? I'm just asking people to think that through, because you're going to find a lot of agreement with a lot of people on the left who support what you're talking about. But we just need to kind of think about it structurally. I believe change comes from the inside out. That's why I'm an advocate for progressive policies. That's why I advocate for what democratic socialism stands for. Not the title, just the ideology. That's why I agree with the matriarchy, a trickle-up economic system where we center everything we do around women, children, education, and healthcare. Can we start there? Thank you, everybody, for staying up late tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, right here. Appreciate you all. Have a good night.
FSM news on the skyline glow. Cut the static, let the truth winds blow. Facts don't matter in the fire and the fray. We roll the reel, then fade away. Flash the headline, stitch the night. Truth in the frame, wrongs in the light. If FSM news keeps calling it back, one last shot, and that's a wrap. Facts don't matter even when they shout. We close the scene, no fear, no doubt. FSM news stamped on the final clap. Curtains fall, yeah, that's a wrap.